derivative, Jill.
There she is. There she is.
Welcome to Jill's.
Can I offer you some tea?
Good tea. Nice house.
Would you make me some of that Plomeek soup?
We too are machines, just machines of a different type.
Hello and welcome to Plomeek Teatime number 80, where we're going to enjoy taking deep dives into the television show Star Trek: The Next Generation today. We're looking at the remarkable episodes of my favorite character in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and that is Data. We will examine Measure of a Man, The Offspring, which is also my favorite TNG episode, and Data's Day. They're all wonderfully fantastic, and it was such a thrill yesterday taking screen caps for these episodes. It's always a lot of hard work to grab these, but this time it didn't feel like a chore at all. It felt like a privilege because Data has done me the favor of guiding a lot of what I think about things in my early adulthood in a way that Star Trek has done generally overall. And Data does it very specifically in detailed ways. His wonder at understanding emotions obviously harkened to my actual Star Trek character overall, who is Spock. But unlike Spock, at least not for a while anyway, Data isn't suppressing emotion. He doesn't have them at all. So it's wonderful to see how he deals with that challenge, how Brent Spiner deals with acting as someone without emotion, but as someone who can emulate them or simulate them. And as an introvert, I've often felt I had, similar challenges, despite being extremely emotional compared to either of these characters. So nevertheless, they have helped me so much. But even before we get into the episodes, I wanted to briefly mention one of my theories about season 3 of Star Trek: The Original Series. I believe that season 3 inspired a lot of what we see in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I believe the android Reyna could have been the inspiration for Data, and maybe even Lal, since it was emotions that overtook Reyna and ended her in a very similar way. So today we'll go over these Data episodes listed. Maybe in the future, for a future podcast, we'll do more Data episodes because there's just so much to talk about with this character. But first, I'd like to say hello to Scotty R37, who's joined me to talk about these.
Hey, Jill, thanks for having me, and hello to the chat. It's a pleasure. And I agree wholeheartedly with you in terms of watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's like, I've seen all these episodes so many times. Do I really need to watch them again? And I watch them, and I just am taken back to such a comfortable group of characters in a setting that I want to inhabit, in a world that I want to inhabit, where, again, we brought it up before. I brought it up before. Everybody's doing their jobs, but they also respect one another to the point where even disagreements become more point counterpoint than "you're stupid, I don't like you." And I appreciate that. I think it built up unrealistic expectations for my professional life in the years to come.
Yeah, that comes directly from the writer's guide from the original series, where it says, yes, there can be conflict, but it should be intellectual conflict. And these are full of it.
Yeah.
And I do want to say hello to the chat. Suzanne, hello, Suzanne. Franco Walker, Gavin Blackburn. Franco Walker reminds you to please subscribe, hit the bell, share, hit like, and select live chat.
Do it now.
Oh, did I forget something? Oh, here it is. I do want to read this one from Gavin Blackburn. Come to Jill's. Jill's is fun. Don't walk, run. Which, of course, is a reference to Quark's Bar advertisement. That's really fun. I like that. I'm starting to believe you really believe that, too. The Offspring always gets a cheer out of me. I cry for both Measure of Man and The Offspring. They both get me.
Well, and it's interesting considering that these are episodes about a man who does not feel emotion, that they can evoke so much.
Right. I almost wanted to make the thumbnail something like affection for an android who doesn't feel it back. And it was just too many words, but
Mm-hmm.
that is essentially the theme for today, possibly. Or at least one of them.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
Will Scotty or 37 call someone a large Felis caddis today? Well, yeah,
Yes.
Spot is first featured in the last episode we covered today, Data's Day. I hate to
Yes.
Scotty would say he's unpredictable. Well, not always. Not always. Not always.
I just don't see. What was it the other day? My nieces, sorry for the tangent, but my nieces were playing something called the Animal Game, and so my one niece is going around moo, and then my other niece goes eeyaw, eeyaw, and my sister says, "Oh, you know what you are?" And she goes, "What?" And I jump in and I say, "You're a jackass." So my sister looks at me because she's like, "You can't say jackass in front of my niece," and I was like, "But that's what she would, donkey, jackass. It's synonymous." So I think cat, pussy, fine. Come on.
Well, they're synonyms technically, but there's also the extra implication that might be the rude part.
Well, I'm not going to shield anyone from language. If you do not like my verbiage, I do apologize, but not really.
Jill received the message before I sent it. Some sort of time anomaly.
In the Devron system.
Yeah, someone must have been using a subspace tachyon inverter. I am so glad none of the episodes today have any time travel. You've just made me even happier.
But there is an overthruster.
Oh, what? Really?
Well, when
overthruster?
There's an overthruster.
Well, let's get started with the Measure of a Man. It first aired on February 13th, 1989. Let's bring up those slides.
Oh, and also, do you remember the teasers for these episodes when they first were released? It was like next time. And I always love hearing those just in terms of the cadence of the classic trailer voice. It's like next time on Star Trek, The Next Generation. And I loved those. Oh, and what? Now are you upset and worried because you didn't get any of the trailers for these?
Yes.
Don't be.
Now I want to hear them.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
We know what these episodes are about. It's okay.
Yeah, and if we play the trailers, it'll be struck, and no one likes promoting this art, especially not the studios that created it.
Yeah, that's why I was so happy for TOS that it did let me play those trailers. Because I think it was I don't know why I got away with it, but I was so happy.
The Ghost of Jean. Oh, and by the way, we did this week past would have been Jean's birthday.
Gene Roddenberry's birthday. That's right. Is it the 19th or the 18th?
Yes.
The 19th. I thought it was the 19th, but I wanted to give myself wiggle room. Yes, happy birthday to Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So how old would he have been? He would have been 103. And so this episode was written by Melinda Snodgrass.
Fascinating.
She had this is her first and best Star Trek episode, but they only found her script because there was a writer's strike. There was a writers guild kind of strike, and it was also directed by Robert Shearer. And so I'm so glad they did find it. Sometimes a writer's strike leads to some interesting things. And
absolutely, and well, and that's also one of the reasons why Star Trek: The Next Generation season 2 is sort of lackluster in some people's mind, Dr. Crusher notwithstanding, but also because there was a writer's strike. And so we got a very different season 2 than we would have had everything been firing on all thrusters.
Yeah, well, there's still some interesting things in season 2, and I'm happy with it. Okay, so Melinda Snodgrass has a quote here. Everyone seems to view the episode as a Data script, but it's really a Picard script. Data is the catalyst, but the stress is all on Picard. You know what? I kind of agree that it is about all three, really. Data, Picard, but also Riker.
Yes.
So since we have a limited time to talk about it, if you want to jump around, if you feel like jumping around the episode, that's totally fine. Because when this hour is up, when we get to noon central, we got to move on to the Offspring to make sure that I don't spend too much time on these episodes. So, but some overall thoughts that I would like brought up during these discussions might be the obvious. The episode leads me to question where real artificial intelligence is headed, because that's something that we're talking about a lot lately because of the AI that we have in existence isn't actually real AI. It's more of a machine learning kind of data mining and processing kind of thing, but it's a model for what AI can become, and it's an interesting thought of how we will regard it in the future if it ever does become real, or when, not if. It's not if, it's when.
It is when, yeah. Well, and as an interesting.
Sorry.
Well, and the initial draft of this scene was, and the purpose of it, according to Melinda Snodgrass, was to make it so that something in theory versus something in practice that Data would be confused with. And initially, it was going to be Data swimming, but they couldn't find a pool and they couldn't figure out how to make Data like Brent Spiner's makeup adhere. So like they couldn't keep him the pale complexion that he has, and so they just decided to go with something, you know, more cost effective and something that would sort of convey that same message.
And I guess they figure it out by the time they get to Insurrection, though. But I'm glad they went with Poker. That was the birth of Poker. Well done, Melinda Snodgrass, because this is great. And I do agree that it is a great example of something that is different when you read about it in the book, and then when you actually practice it, it's nothing alike. And this is, well, we're not at Harry Potter yet, but this is also why Hermione is so bad at flying on a broomstick, is because she could read a book all day. She's the bookworm of the series, and she can read the book about it all day, but in practice, she sucks at it. She's not good. No good. It's a different thing because it's more about feeling and instinct, and so is poker.
Yeah. Well, and one of the adages of poker, you don't play the cards, you play the man who is sitting across the table from you. And that is something that Data does become better at as the series progresses.
Of course, yeah. Just as he learns how to read emotion and respond to it in a different way, and be able to predict what emotion and reactions are going to occur based on what he says. He does become better in many different ways compared to the first, when we first see him.
And that is actually
everything.
I learned how to play poker from William T. Riker. And so the first time I went over to a friend's poker game, I went and did like all in and did all the things that I had seen Riker do. And I had nothing. And the guy who I was playing was like, you had absolutely nothing and you went all in. Why? There's no possibility that you could have won. And I did sort of reference this. And it's like, yeah, but I did.
But I did win. I bet you wouldn't make the call.
Yeah.
Is that what is known as a poker face?
Wow, I can't believe you learned how to play poker from Star Trek. What didn't you learn from Star Trek is the real question.
Everything I needed to learn in life, I learned from Star Trek.
Oh no. I am so sorry. I apologize. I cannot pronounce this name. But did I just hear a comparison between Harry Potter and TNG? Where is the world coming to? Yeah, I did do that. Hey, we're
Hey,
gonna talk
fandoms
about
can
it.
mix.
Is that a? Oh, anyway. Yeah, happy birthday, Jean. My invitation must be delayed. Uh, Weird that Starfleet never considered Data's status for 20 years and he didn't know a simple nursery rhyme in the pilot. Data's development started aboard the Enterprise, not the preceding years.
Well, this is where it all sort of culminates. Like, don't forget, in the first 2 seasons of Next Generation, people do sort of refer to Data as a walk and talk and tricorder. Like, that's enough, Mr. Data. Thank you, Mr. Data. That will be all. And it never considers him. Now, it's never malicious, but I think that this is a great episode just to finally address, all right, what is he? Like, how are we going to treat him moving forward? And
Yeah,
it is reflected.
because before he was just found and he decided to join the people who found him, and so he's basically just been with his parents the entire time. Parents being just, Starfleet in general, not just Noonien, but Starfleet, where there was his adoptive parents, and he decided to join them. So, and and now they're telling him what to do, and he doesn't want to do it. And so when does the child grow up and say, hey, I'm not going to do that, you don't have the right to do this to me because there's something wrong with what you're proposing.
Well, and as it is pointed out, he is protecting his very existence. And I find it
Yes.
interesting as a commentary in terms of certain prejudices or misinterpretations that the, let's say, biological Starfleet officers, when you're encountering what a being of pure curiosity without ego or emotion, you tend to be a little bit more abrasive or less considerate. And this is the one where, also, don't forget, this is the season where we have Ensign Sonia Gomez saying thank you to the replicator, and Geordie's like, what? You dumb. And so this is how do you interact with sort of an anthropomorphized artificial intelligence, and with Data.
I have no trouble. I have no trouble anthropomorphizing things that are, that are not sentient. I always think Chat GPT, and sometimes I think the Stream Elements bot.
Well, and hey, sometimes you thank me, and I'm without sentience.
Okay, the reason I stopped here is not just because of the title, but also this model of Starbase 173 was a reuse of a model from Regula 1 from Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. And so I was wondering why it was so gorgeous. Like, damn, they really worked on something special for this episode, but it turns out it was a brilliant reuse.
And also, it was the office complex in orbit above Earth in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which is where that model originated. And it begs the question, simply because we do see the original Enterprise refit pull up beside Regula 1. Did they use this same schematic and then just size it up for modern starships? And Philip
sometimes they just flip them
Lavoie.
around.
Yeah.
First, to know that you're still a pompous ass.
And this is sort of the almost a parallel to the original series episode Court Martial, where it is a flame from Kirk's past.
You said it first. Yes, you beat me to it. That's right. That's exactly how I feel about this episode too. Is that it is inspired by Court Martial.
And I do appreciate that she is French, or at least her name is.
Mm.
All the French people in Star Trek The Next Generation, no French accents. Picard is British. Lavoie is clearly American. And here is one of my favorite admirals. Admiral Nakamura, played by Clyde. There he is, Kusatsu. Love him. Was always a fan of this actor, and I appreciate that he does reprise his role 2 more times and once in All Good Things at the very end.
And Brian Brophy.
Brian
that's
Brophy.
Maddox.
Who is sort of like this season's version of what's his name? You know, the guy who gets shot. He has the cockroaches that crawl into his mouth. Commander.
The guy who has what cockroaches?
It's not Maddox. It's Commander Remick. Commander
Remick
from season 1.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Conspiracy.
Yes, Conspiracy, and there is another one. There is another one that he was in for
he's
2
good
episodes.
He's good in that one too. And that's why I like his reprisal in that one, and why I was kind of sad when he went. He was a really good antagonistic character.
Yes,
he was interesting to engage with.
Oh, isn't this something you wanted to bring up?
No, I don't want to bring it up.
Well, no, it's just interesting because Admiral Nakamura says, don't ever become an admiral. Jim Kirk tells him to never become an admiral.
That's right. I did tell you that last night. And I'd like to believe that Picard does follow this advice.
All right.
Thank you.
Even though it is Filthy Friday, we're sort of disassociating from anything that is new Trek because, and this is just something that I think you and I agreed to, Jill, is that we have such affection for this. There's no point in muddying the waters with something that comes after the fact. And while there is a debate as to how well they understand certain things, let's just not muddy the debate with what people believe to be a just basic misunderstanding of Star Trek philosophy.
Yes, I think that's a good way to go because anyway, it's not this universe anyhow, so it doesn't matter. And so we meet Maddox here, and we find out he's the only person who said, well, Data probably shouldn't go to the academy because he's not sentient. So already we know that he's and then he jumps right into, I'm going to disassemble you.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to disassemble Data.
No, disassemble. Johnny 5 is alive.
Exactly. I'm going to disassemble Maddox. But I like that Picard knows better than to continue that kind of like drama on the bridge. He moves it off the bridge, and that's perfect. Good stuff.
I just wish Geordi was a little bit more of a presence in this episode.
He's here, but yeah, he's just mostly there as Data's friend.
Yes.
Data was always treated with respect from his fellow officers, in contrast with Wesley.
Yeah, but Wesley was he was a temp for the first little while. It wasn't until we get to, I think, Menage a Troy where he actually gets to step into a universe or a uniform.
Franco Walker says he's always talking to inanimate objects. Yeah, me too. You'd like to talk to my ex-wife then? Yeah. Wow, that was a good one. Maddox was eventually poisoned to death by his lover 30 years later, according to New Trek. Damn it, Gavin Blackbird, we just said we're not talking about New Trek.
Well, and honestly, just to touch on it briefly, that was one of the biggest things that I didn't like, is that when they said that they were looking for Maddox at the beginning of that, and then it ended up being a different actor, I was like, No.
Yeah.
Like if in Trials and Tribulations, they bring back the same guy who played Arn Darvin in the original series episode, and the fact that they couldn't bring back Brian Brophy, I thought was sort of a detriment to that.
Yeah,
that
but
season.
it's all a different. All of New Trek is completely different universe, so who cares?
Yeah, fair enough. Again, we don't have to delve into it that deeply.
But that was funny. I read that without realizing what was happening. Mega Cropper said, "I prefer Data's Day to this episode." Well, that's great because we're going to talk about Data's Day last.
Yes.
I ignore New Trek. I can't ignore it because it surrounds me, but I can dismiss it.
Yes.
I'm going to. Oh, okay. Thank you. Hello, Eugene Bird.
Hey, Bird. Eugene Bird. We have so many birds.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Eugene.
Yeah. Also, since we're mentioning it, welcome home to Bird of Prey 5 who made it home. Let's get through this. Maddox is eager to assemble Data so he can analyze how he works and reverse engineer him to make an endless quantity of datas. But quickly, Data realizes that Maddox has not perfected his craft of making a positronic brain.
Captain, I believe his basic research lacks the specifics necessary to support an experiment of this magnitude.
Well, and it is so important, especially for the second episode that we're going to watch, The Offspring, is the hubris and certainty of his own expertise. He reminds me of a little bit of Kaczynski from Where No One Has Gone Before, where Kaczynski is just
Maddox
arrogant.
Isn't that stupid.
No, he's not that stupid.
But he is okay. The arrogance is similar. Yes, I do agree with that. I do agree. He definitely he's more sure of himself than Data is. Data knows more about his own program, and he knows that Maddox hasn't done enough research, and that what he's proposing is basically what is that called when you scramble somebody's brain? A lobotomy.
Yes. Well, and it's even Data himself says he doesn't think that there is the possibility, like the extent of the research that Maddox has done is not going to be able to reassemble. Like hey, as Spock said, it's easier to destroy than to create.
And like like Snodgrass says, this is as much a Picard episode, and I love when Picard hears that, and that's enough for him. He knows from what Data's saying that he needs to turn down Maddox. He trusts and respects Data.
Well, and it is protection. It is protective of the captain. How valuable his Data presented himself as to the crew, to just to the indignity of dissection and investigation. I love how that is the impetus to okay, so what is it to have your own free will, your own autonomy, your own wants and desires? And it is brilliantly addressed.
I really feel that like there's an element of the captain protecting his crew and knowing that they're all important to him. And since Data refuses the procedure, Maddox is forcing a transfer so he can he can do what he wants somewhere else. And okay, definitely. And so, and of course I agree with you in terms of Data having the right to choose. But this is the episode that counters that. Does Data have the right to choose? Is he just a tool, an object, a walking computer, a walking tricorder, as you say? That's just meant for service to Starfleet, but doesn't necessarily need to make any decisions that are very important to its own person. Because, well, see, I don't even know how to talk about Data as anything but a person. I'm trying to put myself in Maddox's shoes, and I failed already. y- Maddox is the classic handyman. It says in the chat. He can disassemble and assemble a machine blindfolded, but at the end, there's a few bits and pieces and screws that are surplus after assembly, and that is what Data is afraid of somebody knocking his screws loose and not be, losing what makes him special, losing a bit of him,
and the
basically
individuality that
lobotomy.
the essence.
Yeah, exactly. The ineffable quality. Oh, did I have any more? Oh, there's less than half a bottles of Bailey's left. So I must have drunk it at some point. I wish I had some Bailey's. I have some coffee here. Well, no, I can't day drink when the kids are at school. And I get a phone call from the school. Oh no. Oh no. You got to pick up your kid. Okay, never mind.
I'll send an
Sorry,
Uber.
I got distracted.
Mommy's got her no juice on.
No. Oh yeah, and this scene.
Then why are not all human officers required to have their eyes replaced with cybernetic implants?
Which is a brilliant question.
It is. And that music that plays. There's music that plays during the scene that really amps up the feeling, the emotion of the point that Data is making about the rights to his body. Like it's also rights to, not being screwed around with. Even Picard says if you go through with what Maddox wants, you might not even have to get transferred. And then Data refuses on those grounds.
Well, and also, and I'm not sure is in this season, is this before or after Picard goes to have his artificial heart looked after?
Right. This is where that would be where he takes Wesley or whatever. And
yeah. But I'm not sure where it is in the season, but it would be something that that Data. Well, actually, no. Picard hid his artificial heart from the crew.
Yeah, they don't know.
Right.
The only person who knows is Beverly.
Well, Dr. Pulaski.
And Pulaski, too. Yes, Pulaski also. Like, the doctors have to know. You can't hide that from them because that would be irresponsible.
And there's a distinct lack of Troy in this episode as well.
No, there's plenty of Troy. Any Troy
is there Troy?
Troy. Yeah.
All right.
Wait, is there not? Yes. No. Wait. You're right. There's none. No, it's fine.
No, wait,
I'm fine with it.
Well, and it's because it would be damning.
Don't need Troy here.
No, but it would be damning testimony against Data. It's like, Counselor Troy, you've served with Commander Data for X number of years, 2 years. And have you ever picked up any emotions or picked up any sense of Data's individuality or his emotional awareness? And it could be a back and forth that sort of says, no, I don't sense anything from Data. And it's like, yep, there you go. If Betazoids can't do it.
Okay, so I did watch the extended version. And in fact, there is an extended scene in the party scene where Troy and somebody, I forget who, they're talking. And that is what they ask. And of course, she says, no, I can't sense anything from him, but there are a lot of species or a lot of people who I can't read. And so she doesn't
like the
take
Ferengi,
that as or changelings.
Oh, that's true too. But at this point, the changelings hadn't been established.
True. Mm-hmm. That's an example.
And this is probably, because it's such a well-regarded episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, I think this is where a lot of the branching off for the movies becomes Picard and Data's kinship, in terms of, I have to go save Data, Data has to go rescue Picard. It's like, this is where their friendship really blossoms, because again, up until here, it's very much a commanding officer and subordinate relationship between Data and Picard.
Yeah, and I
And
do
even-
like that developed here.
And even Philippa says, "Oh, wow, you're actually passionate about this." And Picard gets so mad, and I love it. And it's like, don't do this.
Mhm.
That's not fair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. But Picard isn't afraid to ask for help. And yeah, she does get a little snarky about it, but
she gets snarky in a way that is familiar.
Mhm.
It's not.
Good
It's
try.
not.
9 out of 10 for effort.
She does apologize and say that was
does.
offside.
She does instantly. All this passion over a machine.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but that happens in this episode and also in the Offspring. Don't you think that's a little much too much sentimentality for a machine? And that'll be about lol. So there are a lot of parallels from this episode to that one. And this is another extended scene that it's oh, there was an extended scene earlier with Nakamura about Data's transfer, but it was just. But this extended scene, I'm glad they put in.
Well, and you
Data thinks he's going.
Please.
Data thinks he's going to die. Basically, like he thinks this is going to be the end of his life, so he's giving away his Sherlock Holmes pipe to his best friend Geordi. But Geordi is just thinking that Data is going away to a star base, but we all know once he gets there, he'll be guided toward being disassembled. And, Data is right if that happens. But this is the scene which makes him realize, I wish they could have fit this one in the episode. It really adds to it because this is the moment that he realizes in order to save his life, he's got to just leave Starfleet.
Yes. That's really the kickoff of the main moral dilemma is, well, he can't resign because he's the property of Starfleet. And that, I think, that's where it's
right.
Like,
exactly.
No.
Yeah. And in the next, in a scene coming up after he packs his bags, there's a scene with Maddox saying, would you let the Enterprise computer decide not to get a refit? And so that's where they come up with the idea that is Data property like the computer is.
There she is. There she
Yes.
is. And I was mentioning this to you before, and
Right.
you sort of pushed back a little bit against it. Is
just a little, not much.
Well, let's discuss. My premise is this, that I think that one of the cornerstones of Data's character is the intimacy between himself and Tasha Yar in The Naked Now. And I have always contested that when Data had his emotion chip first installed, not in Descent 1 and 2, but in Generations, the first words out of his mouth should have been Tasha. And when Data is feeling when he does achieve emotion, I think that Tasha should be something that he discusses. And there is a brief brush up upon that in Star Trek First Contact, when he basically recounts exactly how long it has been since he was intimate with Tasha. And for that, we apologize to you, Jenna DeSora. You dated the boy, but you never got Tasha treatment. And I just think that if you want to show the weight of Data's emotions,
that episode,
like reminding the audience that this is his first love, and recalling that, I think should have held more weight. I don't know if that was an issue with paying for creators of Tasha Yar or likeness rights for Denise Crosby, but I do. Anytime Tasha and Data are associated, I'm just thinking, yep, that's high school girlfriend.
She would have said yes. She realized a little, obviously after yesterday's Enterprise, she realized that she did want to be part of Star Trek after she killed herself off.
Yes.
Only after she killed herself off, she realized what a good thing she had, and if a writer wanted to insert her in, she would have jumped at the opportunity to be there.
Well, and hence Sela, yeah. But like, and that's the one thing that I find very stark about yesterday's Enterprise is that there is no familiarity between Data and Tasha. And so in the yesterday's Enterprise episode, they obviously hadn't been dealing with the Psywater and the Tchaikovsky. And so they never were together in the yesterday's Enterprise universe, which is also just a little heartbreaking. Because again, I think Tasha is so important to Data's growth.
Well, it does happen. It is kind of just a. It seems like a silly thing when it happens, like it just because everybody is drunk and it's a copy of Naked Time, and.
But again, like, and
that terrible episode.
Well, but to retrospectively sort of improve that episode, and I know it's silly, and I know we've discussed it in terms of it being too soon to put the crew of the Enterprise D out of sorts, but I do think that every time we see this hologram of Tasha, it does sort of. Nothing would have come out of that seed planted in manure except for this relationship. And that's why I value the Naked Now.
And it makes sense. This also ties into the Offspring is when Lal is having these questions about people kissing, and Whoopi Goldberg says, Guinan says, you're going to have to ask your dad for the rest of the story. And she learns that humans, like to touch each other, and so it would have been that would be where he would draw his knowledge of that kind of thing from. But you think she's really important? Yeah, I think you put a lot more importance in their time together, and I guess Data does too. So I guess I can't question it.
Well, with wonder and intellectualization of a funeral and Data explaining to Picard that, and then even with Legacy, when Ishara Yar shows back up again, and there is an exploration as to the relationship between Data and Tasha. And I still think, and I think Data thinks that his experiences, for lack of a better term, with Tasha would have really informed his emotional awakening. And the first things that he would have felt was the loss of Tasha, because he does go into such explanation of becoming accustomed to and anticipating reactions. And so he does even sort of logically intellectualize what mourning is for a person without emotion.
That's true. He does. His mental pathways have been accustomed to her sensory inputs. And so, yes, I do. That is one of my favorite quotes. So well explained there. I really do love that thought that even though he doesn't process emotions the way we do, he has his memory patterns are still affected by the existence of people, and he can feel their loss. He feels loss in a very different way. And to that end, he packs his bag with all these things, and Maddox barges in without even knocking, because he doesn't really respect Data as a person worthy of announcing his interest.
Well, why would I request permission to enter a room with a Roomba?
Well, but even though we just explained how Data can process grief.
Yes.
But Maddox doesn't understand any of this yet.
Well, it's like what Maddox wants to do is build his own PC, but he's never built his own PC before. So he's going to get the most advanced PC that he can. He's going to take it apart and see if he can put it back together and hope to God it works.
Yeah, that's right. Oh. He thinks that the flavor of the moment, Data explains it perfectly. The scene is really well written. Data says, reduced to the mere facts of the events, the substance, the flavor of the moment could be lost. And take games a chance. I had read and absorbed every treaty and textbook on the subject and felt myself well prepared for the experience. Yet when I finally played poker, I discovered that the reality bore little resemblance to the rules. And that while I believe it is possible to download the information contained in the positronic brain, I do not think you have acquired the expertise necessary to preserve the essence of those experiences. There is an ineffable quality to memory which I do not believe can survive your procedure.
Well, and it's also, do they mention Ira Graves in this episode?
Ira Graves.
Remember Ira Graves, Grandpa?
Oh. No, they don't mention it in this episode.
Because that would be the closest that you would get in terms of the transference. And they do download Data's consciousness into a computer, and then Ira does upload his consciousness into Data. And it is preserved through Ira. But Ira is also, Ira Graves is also a contemporary of Dr. Soong. And so it does provide, there is a little bit more appreciation for the flavor of personality.
Oh, the Schizoid Man would be an interesting episode to look at. I do like talking about transhumanism. It's a whole different story. But maybe there's a connection.
Well, and it's interesting, Eugene Bird in the chat. Sorry, I don't mean to jump ahead.
No, you should, because I'm way behind in the chat here. Go ahead.
Because Eugene Bird says, if they are both commanders, there is a conflict of interest. Data and Maddox would be in competition for promotion. Now, not to dismiss what you're saying in terms of promotion, Eugene, I'll get back to that, because they're in different specialty divisions. Data is operations and Maddox is in sciences, which I don't know. I would think that Data would be more appropriate to sciences, but his desires are more inclined towards operations and I guess managerial tasks.
He wants to be a leader. He wants to make a difference. And that's where he sees helping others is his primary goal, the service of others. And so even though he has a greater aptitude for science and engineering, he obviously helps Geordi out when he needs something calculated. But he has other goals. And Eugene Bird says, it's been suggested we don't even have enough words yet to describe all the qualities of humanness.
Well, I don't like to bring up Rick and Morty because I'm not a huge fan, but I do appreciate the words that define the qualities of humanness. And those words are wubba lubba dub dub.
I'm in great pain. That's what it means.
Yes, I know.
Data should be at the academy for all new cadets. What? Academy
point all new cadets in the eyes with the pointy sticks.
Oh, right. That's right. Somewhere in this episode, he's considering what he's going to do afterwards. I don't know if this is extended version or regular version, but he said, maybe I'll be a teacher. So he really does say that, Gavin.
Yes.
Single-celled beings can hunt, have sex, and die. Only one cell, no neurons. Are they also conscious? Oh, I don't know if they're conscious. They might just be reacting on instinct.
Yeah, I don't have the qualifications to answer that, but when I look at, for lack of a better term, lower life forms, I do wonder what they're thinking as they go about their day. And the answer is Not much, I think.
I think
birds,
yeah.
birds, bats. They're like, I just think that they are drawn to energy or nutrition to prolong existence.
Yeah,
And
they
when
have
existence,
innate programming within themselves, organic programming. They tell them, I gotta eat, I gotta reproduce, I gotta sleep, I gotta kill, or I gotta whatever. But whether they're processing what they're doing and actually having any kind of reality.
well, look at Siegfried and Roy.
Do they have any fun? Well,
Siegfried
I'm not sure. I
and
don't know.
Roy did
I
magic
know
acts
dogs
with
do.
the same
I think
lion.
dogs are sentient. Yeah.
But again, like it's one of those things that even with prolonged familiarity with mammals, they can sort of appreciate you for how you provide for them, but they would if they perceive a threat, they're still going to turn. It's like Grizzly Man, that Werner Herzog film, or again, like what happened to Siegfried and Roy with a lion or a tiger mauled him. Yeah, after many performances where they were that large cat was treated like a pet, and yet it did turn and say, "Hey, F you, buddy."
Well, and I think Steve Irwin's responded to somebody asking him if he gets bitten a lot, and he says, sometimes I get bitten, but it's always my fault, not the animals.
Well, yes.
And so he never blames them for it, because they're acting on instinct, or they're responding to him in a way that he needs to be aware that he was aware that he was working with wild animals. And I think when you treat them too much like a pet when they're not domestic, that's when you run into that issue of being bitten. But I'm sure Siegfried and Roy knew what they were playing with. So that was unfortunate.
Suzanne
is here. Also, Deborah Cohen. Really great to see you, Deborah Cohen. She says this is a good topic. I agree.
Yeah, thanks, Deborah.
And hey, Canadian Spider-Man is here too. He says, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to help Jill grow this channel. Thanks, everyone. It really does help.
True. Hey, Spidey.
If they are both commanders, there's conflict of interest. Data and Maddox would be in competition for promotion.
I don't think that is at play.
No, it's not. I don't think so either.
But it is a good observation. Thank you.
Because Maddox is using the power of bureaucracy to shuffle Data around, because Data doesn't want to do what he wants him to do.
Well, but there's also, like, Maddox does get a character arc in this, and I don't think that his intentions are malicious. I think that he actually wants to benefit the Federation as a whole. But
right, he wants to make lots of Datas.
Well, yeah, and then we do get to the Guinan scene, which really drives the point home of what is it that you want them to do.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I want to say hello to Fives Out. Yeah, I agree. Canadian Spider-Man would be a role model, but nobody my age can achieve all that you have.
Man, right. you chop a mean log of wood. I wish I could do that, or I had a sharper axe.
Me too.
Skill. Classic Comics is here. Hey, Classic Comics and Penny once again. G'day. Yeah.
Hello. But this is, I love this sci-fi dialogue here. This is really wonderful, wonderful stuff, because Maddox hasn't achieved enough in his research to warrant these drastic measures, and Data fears losing himself in the process of helping Maddox in his research. And hello to SP4H.
Sporf. And Fahuck.
What do you think of this episode? Oh, right.
If it were a box on wheels, I would not be facing this opposition.
I don't know, man. People like R2-D2.
Oh, and I was going to play this after that. Where is it?
One of these days, I'm going to forget all my built-in protective circuits and zap him. Just one zap.
And, well, when he said box on wheels, that made me think of B9, which was supposed to outrage PvP, but he's not here.
Well, best
but
wishes
also,
to PvP.
Yeah, of
I was
course.
surprised. I thought he was going to be here.
Well, I think I sent him a link, but I guess he got busy today. I don't know. He has it.
You mean
Philippa
got busy?
Says, oh, I don't know. Hopefully. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know anything about
yeah.
his social life.
Little
Maybe you actually
horizontal
went into the
mambo.
office today. Well, I don't
Sure,
need to know
sure.
that much.
I do. I want video. I need a website.
I also like when Philippa says, overt sentimentality is not one of Captain Picard's failings. Trust me, I know.
Which is true.
And this scene just basically culminates in the question of whether or not Data is property or if he has the right to choose, which is stuff we've already mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And also we've already mentioned how would you permit the Enterprise computer to refuse a refit? And so that's where they come up with the idea of what to argue this case with. Whether or not Data is property is the question. Can you just order him around?
In terms of the characterization of Maddox, and it really does build up Picard's impassioned pleas and closing arguments in the hearing. Maddox is sitting there, rights. I'm sick and tired of hearing about rights, which doesn't sound like a very Starfleet officer thing to say, but it does. And while it undercuts your idea as to what Starfleet officers believe in terms of rights and sentience and autonomy, it does elevate what Picard says at the end. And I think it's one of Patrick Stewart's best performances because it is impassioned, but yet also intellectual. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many people fell in love with Jean-Luc Picard in the first place. And when he became a softer man in later iterations, this is what people look to and they say, no, this is the Captain Picard that I fell in love with.
Not this is the Captain Picard that fights. This is the Captain Picard who fights for his crew, who stands up for others. Even he stands for a better future, even when he lives in a good future. He sees the problems and he knows where he wants to take the next steps. And even though it may not be, maybe a trial is not the right place. Like it doesn't seem like where you actually make these kinds of changes. It provided an amazing argument that compelled the judge to allow Data to save himself.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, this is one of the big Picard speeches that is fantastic. I love it. Also, this is I think there's a farewell party in the original, but there's an extended version of it here where we get some advice from Pulaski. Hey, why don't you stay on on our planet? And we have Geordi. And I guess that one's the one that's
and that's probably my mistake in terms of this, because for those who don't know, there is an extended cut of this episode. It's one of the few extended cuts. And it is on the season 2 Blu-ray. And my mistake in terms of this is when I was watching with the Melinda Snodgrass commentary.
Oh, wow. Cool. That's amazing.
Yes. And so I may have missed some of the actual scenes. And this is, again, because I love Star Trek Next Generation. And so I'm I feel remiss. I should have watched this episode twice. How many more minutes are included in the extended?
I don't know. I don't know how many more minutes
I thought it was like,
there are. I'm sorry.
I think it's like 12 extra minutes.
I think I've only ever seen this extended version once, so this is my second time watching it, and I forgot all about how Maddox crashes this party and tells Data he should go to the carnival and be a freak. Like, basically. He doesn't say that word, but...
Not in a complimentary way. Like, Data, you should go to the carnival, be a freak, yo, have some fun, let loose. No, not that way.
Yeah, he says carnival work. But, yeah. But
oh, that's nice.
you were just leaving.
But this is so interesting just because we are dealing, and I believe that Geordi should have had a more prominent role in this, although I don't think he would have been as good and, well, he certainly would have been wouldn't have been an advocate, and he wouldn't have been a very good argumentative for the case for Maddox as Riker is. But I do appreciate that in season 2, we really get the elevation of Worf. And I do like the relationship between Riker and Worf a lot. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of Riker, this is a good scene for him. Because here, Philippa, she's citing ancient law that's saying Data's property. And Picard wants to challenge the ruling, but in order to do this, they don't have any lawyers. They don't have enough staff on this starbase yet. So Picard and Riker have to play plaintiff and defendant.
Mm-hmm.
And so
dun.
And so Picard's going to be defendant. And Riker has to be plaintiff defense. And there's a bit of a conflict of interest here. He's Data's friend who doesn't believe him to be just a machine. So I don't really feel like in reality he would have actually been chosen for this, but it makes for such good drama that I allow it. And it makes the end of the episode even more meaningful.
Absolutely. But I also was wondering about this myself. Mm-hmm. Because Philippa is the judge advocate general in this sector, and this is what's going on, I was like, okay, the appointment of Riker to be the prosecution, essentially, is, I think it speaks very highly of Starfleet Academy, the incorporation of the Vulcans into the Federation. If there is, like, there's got to be logic. Like just logic is a course at Starfleet Academy in terms of how to distance yourself from the specifics of a situation and boil it down to pure logic. And I thought that was sort of a subtextual incorporation of the breadth of the cultures of Starfleet. I really, really liked it, and I do attribute it to it.
But it also could be part of the command program as well, in terms of education.
Sure.
It might not be something everybody gets into. But yes, Riker has to sacrifice his beliefs and argue against Data's rights in order to help save him at the same time.
He's a toaster.
Right. And if he doesn't, she's just going to say he's a toaster.
Yes.
Which I don't know that she could just do that, but she's
well, hey, having an advocate is great, and Maddox has a vested interest in terms of being able to identify Data as a machine and property. And I do, then fine. If there's no one here to actually argue for the case of the Federation or Starfleet, then we're just going to
let Maddox have what he wants.
Yeah. Someone has to perform a compelling argument against Data's individualism and rights.
Yeah. And that's right. Data's fighting for his life. So let's figure it out. This is
Jill, I do have to go use the water closet. I was wondering if you wanted to catch up on the chat.
I could do that. Yes.
Sweet.
I need more hours for these episodes. I knew this was going to be a challenge for me to have 3 episodes in one live stream, but I thought I might practice being a little more succinct with my reviews, and so this is my attempt, guys, to do that. I might be failing, but I'm having a good time. This Sunday marks the end of WCBS News Radio, 8:80 a.m. in New York City. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Sentai Ranger Donnie. I hope you're still having a good Friday despite that. And so, oh yes, while I tamed my late-born cat Scamper, he still took a swipe every so often at me when he didn't want to be bothered. Oh, hello, FKHC 2005. At least, luckily, with house cats, they cannot eat you alive like a tiger. They wish they could, but they can't. So they settled for the cat food. Gavin Blackburn says, I feel sorry for those droids in silent running. They were boxes on legs. Measure of a Man, excellent episode, says SP4H. Except, I felt it improper to put Riker in the position they put him in. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that wouldn't happen except inside of a dramatic television show, because it makes it more powerful to put Riker in a position that he doesn't want to be in, but he has to do it. Otherwise, Data will be forced to be Maddox's experiment that Maddox is not at all ready to do what he's wanting to do. Hey chat, please consider sharing the stream to get other great friends in here with us. Thanks, said the Canadian Spider-Man. That is a great idea. Maybe people oh, you know what? Yeah, I didn't even I share everybody on my community tab, but I always forget to share myself on my own community tab. So that's something that I should do in just a second here. I'll be doing that and share myself on my community tab because I share everyone else on there. Why not? Okay, so now thank you, Spidey. You reminded me to share myself. My own stream. Picard really goes to bat for Data in the Offspring. Yeah, he does. For his he rolls right into it. He questions it at the beginning of the episode, but he very quickly accepts Law as Data's child. And thank you, Eugene Bird, for the 1999 super sticker. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. What should I play?
He's safe. And you're safe, my little green friend.
All I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by.
Risk is our business.
My congratulations, Captain. Dazzling display of logic.
Thank you, Eugene, for the super sticker of the little Bushiba with the trophy. Hey, that's cool. I got a trophy. Data's fully functional and lovemaking. Yes, that's right. And that's also part of this episode too, is something that surprises Philippa that is part of Data. And we've already touched on it earlier about his relationship with Tasha. Even though it was very brief, it meant something to Data, so much so that after her passing, he keeps a picture of her around with him wherever he goes. I mean, yeah. Riker, hell no. Better call Saul. He's not born yet. All right. He's been dead for hundreds of years. I mean,
who's dead?
Saul. He says Riker, better call Saul.
Oh, right.
That Data needs a better lawyer.
You know what? I've just started watching Better Call Saul in the worst possible way. I've just been watching clips on YouTube.
That is the worst possible way.
Yeah.
No, you're not really watching it. Especially if
I'm
you got
watching
commentary with those clips.
Nope, not commentary, actual just clips. And it's like Walter versus Saul, Mike and Saul, Gus and Saul. And I'm just like, hey. So.
Hey, the Comic Relief Crusaders here. Hi.
Hey, man.
Talkie Toaster is a life form. That's right. That's right. I need to get some Talkie Toaster clips. I love Talkie Toaster.
What about the brave little toaster?
I love him too.
Hmm.
He just wants to find his owner, to help him with his college career. Franco Walker says Picard only accepts all after it's pointed out that no one else has to ask permission to have kids. Twice. He has to be told this twice. But he does. He comes around. And that's the point. And he picks up where he left off from Measure of Man very, very well.
And not to jump ahead to the end of the episode, but I do absolutely adore.
Do what you want.
I usually do. The moment in the final scene where Data says, that was something that injured you, but benefited me. And I understand that, and I will not forget it. And Riker says, you are wise. And there is, I love that at the end. And not only because it's a Data moment, which I think is very magnanimous and very like logical. Again, that's usually a word that's attributed to Spock, but like Data is flawlessly logical. And to have that sort of bond between Riker and Data is pretty rad. I do enjoy that. And it humanizes Riker more. I know there's a strong contingency on the internet that are like, fuck Riker. But I love Riker.
Well, a lot of times I don't like Riker, but this episode I love Riker. He does fantastic, and he does a really wonderful job for his friend, and he takes it very serious. He's so offended that he has to do this at all. And there's a moment where he's studying for how to construct his argument, and he's looking at the schematics of Data, and he gets this light in his eye. Oh, I figured out how to win this argument. And then that light just turns to darkness, and he realizes, oh no, I figured out how to win this argument.
Yeah, I can deflate this. See, there we are. Back there on his schematics, there is the overthruster, which is an ocutogram. And
so when you say overthruster, are you talking about the movie
Buckaroo Banzai?
Buckaroo Banzai and
yes.
Eighth Dimension?
Yes, because Michael Kuda was a huge. There are references to Buckaroo Banzai throughout Star Trek: The Next Generation on the LCARS displays, and this is another one. And Data has an overthruster. Perfect.
Yeah. So, but also there's another extended scene. Picard and Data are figuring out their strategy, and at some point, Data cites from Shakespeare about killing all the lawyers. I can see why they say kill all the lawyers.
Yeah,
and it's kind of humorous.
Well, and this echoes again back to court martial with everyone's favorite lawyer, Cogley, William Cogley, Mr. Cogley, attorney at law.
Books, young man, books.
Yes, and he says that it's like, I don't want to get in the way of progress too quickly, but can we read off the rest of his citations? And they do that again here, and Picard insists on hearing more of the accomplishments of Data.
Yes, if you weren't thinking of court martial at the beginning of the episode, you certainly are by this point.
Yes.
And so Riker gives his arguments first, getting Data to telling everybody all of his features. When you're buying a piece of technology on the internet, you got a list of specs. These are all he's just listing off all the data specs. Like, look at this. This is just a machine. Here's all the things it can do. And it was created by man, and it can be controlled by man, and therefore Maddox should have control over him.
And now a man will shut it off. Everyone keeps commenting on the chair that Data is sitting in, and I'm sure that, yes, it is a very comfortable chair. But the entire reason that it is such a large, wing-backed, almost 70s recliner office chair, the reason it's there is so that there's a place for Brent Spiner to put his arm in, so that they can make it so that Riker can convincingly take off his arm.
Oh, hey, that's cool. Was that in the commentary?
I thought it was common knowledge and obvious to everyone.
No, it wasn't obvious to me. I didn't think about that ever. Thank you so much.
Eugene Bird says Futurama Bender. Yes, I think we just saw. Data bends.
Data bends.
Bender bends, but so does Data.
Pinocchio is broken. Its strings have been cut.
And then the shame he shows after this with his head in his one hand. Like, that's just, what the hell did I just do to one of my...
But he's made Maddox so happy.
I know, what an evil fuck. Anyway, so I think this is a very important scene that was actually contractually obligated to be written, because they had Whoopi Goldberg to come in as Guinan this week. And they're like, well, we have to have a 10 forward scene. We don't care what it is, just make it. And I think it's a very poignant, beautiful thing that gets completely destroyed in a subject that we're not allowed to talk about today.
Yes, it does. But you know what? It gets kind of destroyed in Voyager too, when this idea is actually applied to
the EMHs.
Yeah, and so they're like, okay, this doctor, it's obsolete. What are we going to do with it? Let's go throw it. Let's make it mine stuff. Not realizing the potential for sentience that the holograms have. And so it would have been cool to have another, we already had Measure of a Man, but it would just be basically when the doctor comes back from the Delta Quadrant, and everybody realizes that he's just as sapient as anyone else. Will they stop using the holograms for slave labor? And that would have been an interesting tie-in if they ever made a Voyager movie.
Well, I'd be interested to find out about it myself. But yes, I think that this is one of those episodes where it gives a high point to the philosophies of the Federation and Starfleet, and that we must, this is legal precedent, and we must consider that we are not the arbiters of life in the galaxy. Data was found. Up until he knows that we know who built him, and also lore, but does the creation of life from man have less value? Which I think is an interesting thing to pursue, but we won't do it.
And that's usually
do it right now.
But that's a good point. It's usually something that Starfleet takes extremely seriously, but they didn't realize that Data was life.
Whole generations of disposable people.
And that to presume that the Federation would dispose of those machines, it opens up such a Pandora's box of insane ideas. And I think that there are many episodes of Star Trek after this, and it's revisited again with the exocomps. You wanted to talk about the exocomp episode.
Oh yes, definitely. So if I would have had a fourth episode, I can't even get through the first episode yet, and we're already well into the Offspring time. But if I were able to get through to a fourth episode, I would have definitely chose quality. I would have chosen a quality of life with the exocomps.
What is the possibility of making this into an ongoing Data series so that we don't have to feel rushed with this? Because these are heady ideas. I don't think we have to rush. Do you think we have to rush? We can come back to Data.
We don't have to rush, but I like having a goal, and I think that these episodes really tie into each other well enough that we can get through them. We've already started talking about the Offspring, even though we haven't gotten to it. So there are a lot of conversations that we don't have to have in a few minutes.
We too are machines, just machines of a different type.
That's one of my favorite quotes of the episode. And then he begins showing all the different items from Data's packing.
Do you have any of the argument quotes like in text? Because I kind of want to do one.
Yeah, I do. Which one?
Okay.
Which one?
The one where he says Starfleet's mission is to seek out new life.
Oh yeah, we're not there yet, but yes.
No, I know, but I wanted to do.
Why do you pack them? What logical purpose do they serve?
Yes.
Is that vanity?
Well, and Data asks it, which is important.
Exactly. I just wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
He desires things.
And let's be fair, Dr. Soong would program a certain level of materialism into Data.
Yes, because it's something that you can relate with. And when you're interacting with an android, you want to be able to relate to them. And so it makes sense that these kinds of things are ingrained within him, as well as the capacity for friendship. And he was going to keep that secret forever, but here he's being forced to tell everybody why Tasha Yar is so important to him.
We were intimate.
Hot damn. And it's not just embarrassment. It's also, I'm sure that there is a certain level of not betraying the memory of the dead. And Tasha said it never happened. Doesn't mean he can't keep her picture in the front of a book.
Right.
So
and
I still believe in this very, very deeply. It touches my heart.
I know it does. And Philippa does a great job of looking shocked at this news. Like she wasn't expecting to hear this.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't even know he's fully functional. I don't know what
she never asked.
She
never got drunk in space.
No. It is an interesting thing to wonder, because there is that episode, Data gets a girlfriend, is just, and yeah, she doesn't get to experience the same thing Tasha did, like you mentioned.
Oh, Gavin, now you're talking my language. Data's had more action than Maddox, and Data's only had sex once. So are you in?
Yes, that's exactly what Gavin's saying.
Yeah, well, he does look that way, doesn't he?
Oh, I don't know.
He's very committed. He's a commander in the sciences. He's the top cyberneticist of Starfleet.
Well, he's also a hostile witness, and so
yes.
And so Picard challenges him. What makes Data not sentient and me sentient? And so what's the difference between us? And
he's met two of your criteria. What about 3? That was a terrible Picard accent.
Yeah, it sounded more Scottish.
I don't know what I'm doing. I never do. Hey, Dalek is here. Hey, Dalek.
And hello, Dalek. Data saying that he has the right he's showing that he's conscious, aware of what's happening, that he's in trial for his rights. And these are all really good arguments saying that Data is aware of not only just his surroundings, but how they're affecting him and what's important to him.
And it is important to point out that Maddox has been referring to Data as it throughout the episode.
Yeah, that. And now I can give you your quote. Would you like to read it?
Oh, sure. I don't know if I'm not going to do a Picard accent. I'm just going to read it dramatically.
Okay. We're about ready for it.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Well, I just think you guys have seen this episode, so we can, courtroom stuff happen. It's really well done courtroom drama. It really is.
Yeah. There's I think the YouTube channel is called Nate the Lawyer, and he goes through this, and it's just, I don't know. It's interesting to watch from the perspective of a modern lawyer.
Oh, sure. I'm sure that that there's some things that are not quite right compared to how lawyers would actually do things. So I'm sure it's really fun to see that nitpicked like that.
Yes. So, may I?
Sure.
Is it done? Is it there? Great. The decision you reach here today will determine how we will regard this creation of our genius. It will reveal the kind of people we are, what he is destined to be. It will reach far beyond this courtroom and this one android. It could signify or significantly redefine the boundaries of personal liberty and freedom, expanding them from savagery, curtailing them from others. Are you prepared to condemn him and all who will come after him? Servitude and slavery? Your Honor, Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits, waiting. I think there's more of a tail off on that one, but that was great. Thank you so much.
Did you want more?
Yes. Till a conclusion, at least until after.
Oh, you're right. Right, there is more.
This is the intermission of my bad reading. This is it. It's so short. It's so short. You wanted a chance to make law. Well, here it is. Make it a good one.
I right to intelligence, self-awareness, consciousness. My right to choose. Perhaps my very life.
And won't we be judged by how we treat that race? Your Honor, Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits.
See, I did bad clicking. I'm going to click better.
And won't we be judged by how we treat that race? Your Honor, Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits.
Gosh.
I know, right?
And that is the reason why this episode is being discussed today. That whole thing. That is the whole episode. And that is... I wonder did Melinda write this speech first and then write the episode around it? It really feels that way. Because it seems to be, it's definitely the foundation for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please come back next Friday. Oh yeah, definitely. If somebody's leaving, I don't know who it is. I can't see it with now. Says Spidey. Oh, huh?
I think please don't rush. If you want to, but we have a plan, Gavin. We have a plan on what we're doing next. So we do have a clip to get through.
All I know is that I'm just going to continue to have a good time, and we'll see where we go. If
there it is.
Time, we have plenty of Data episodes. Data wouldn't have a girlfriend. He did. There's an episode where Data has a girlfriend, and she is kind of stupid, but she's not really.
No, she was looking for a rebound guy and wanted a dildo.
I don't blame. Like I think I would have fun companionship with Jada, but I would know not to expect certain things that she tries to expect from him.
I understand that, but also if you take Star Trek First Contact into account, Data never was intimate with Jenna.
First Contact?
Yeah, because First
because of the
Contact is
time
like, when was
travel?
the last time he says I was fully functional, or I am fully functional, because the Borg Queen wants to bone.
Mhm.
And
Right.
then he says, I haven't had sex in, or I haven't, the last time I did it was, and it was to Tasha Yar.
Mhm. Yes.
And so that means that when Data dated Jenna Desora, they did not do the sex.
Yeah, and I believe that. I believe that they didn't, because the way she acts is there's a very high school kind of feeling behind it.
Yeah, but that's also, she was on a breakup, and Data was the rebound, and she even admits that at the end of the episode. She's like, you know what? I was with an emotionally distant man, and then I decided to throw myself at an emotionally incapable man. So yeah, no, this one's on me.
Yeah, well, she has a type. Franco
She does.
Walker says Maddox is a robotics expert, so he's bound
Yes.
to have made a girlfriend at some point, which
Oh
is really
no!
creepy. Like, that's really messed up, considering that he doesn't believe that androids are sentient, but then he makes a girlfriend that's an android. Well, he can't, luckily, he can't do this because he doesn't know how to make a good positronic matrix, so any android he makes will essentially be a sex doll.
See, and everybody says I'm dirty, but I never even considered that Maddox was making sex dolls.
I didn't either. Franco Walker made me think of it.
Oh, okay. No, because later he has a relationship with a woman who kills him. Moving on.
Oh, come on. Okay, Gavin mentioned it earlier, so I can't get mad at you.
I'm not going into detail. Looking at some data-centered goodness from TNG. That's great, Jill. It is great.
Yes.
I think that,
Yes,
and we've shown so much love to the original series, and I still love the original series. Nothing's going to take away from that. But watching these episodes has actually been like slipping into like comfortable PJs. And it's just so, well, look at this. Look at the PJs. Those are some of the best jumpsuits I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, they do make really nice PJs. Eugene Bird said, well, what if Data had left a dookie on the chair? Does he eat? He does eat, but he doesn't defecate.
Right. He ingests a lubricant that assists with his servos.
Does it taste good? No, but it is good for me.
Well, which also, if he says no, it does not taste good, is that because Data doesn't know what tasting good is?
That's what, yeah, he says it differently. It
Yeah.
is more accurate to say that it is good for him.
Yes.
What is that? What am I remembering? Anyway, is that Q? Q's, yeah, Q.
Oh yeah, it is. I want 4 chocolate sundaes, or 10 chocolate sundaes. I've never seen anybody eat 10 chocolate sundaes.
That's it. That's it. That's basically this episode. That's it. I love it. Good stuff.
Well, but then also let's get so, and Philippa what's her, Bouvier or whatever, it's Langlois. Anyway,
well, I can help.
Does Data have a soul? Does Data have a soul? I don't know that I have.
That's my favorite.
See, and that's what makes her awesome. That I think that's great.
Mm-hmm. And then she says, I need to give Data the right to explore that himself. Something like that. Data technically can eat, but he doesn't need to. Yeah, he doesn't have to. It's just like, if he wants to feel like he's part of the group or whatever, he can have a little oil or whatever it is.
It's like RoboCop eating baby food kind of thing.
Oh no, RoboCop has to eat though.
You think
But he
RoboCop has a
doesn't have.
tummy?
What doesn't he need?
He needs
Maybe
nutrients to keep his biological aspect. Maybe he does have a tummy. Never thought about it.
But I guess he doesn't have to eat it straight from the jar. He can just like stick a tube somewhere. I don't know.
No, they show in the first RoboCop. It's like a Slurpee machine of like carrots, like pureed carrots and peas.
Gosh.
One of the scientists says it's baby food, but that's not the case with Data. Data ingests again a lubricant.
Yes.
And Commander, continue your work.
Yes.
He's very much.
Yes. I'm anticipating. Did you get Philippa?
What does she say?
She says you called him. You didn't call him it.
Right. He called him he. He said he's
Yes.
remarkable, and that's the best part of the episode.
Yes.
I mean,
is because
next to Picard's speech is seeing
Yes.
Maddox actually accept his personhood.
Absolutely. And that is what exemplifies a Starfleet officer, and especially a Starfleet officer who was in the sciences. He learned something through, judicial logic, philosophical logic. He learned something that day, changed his mind, and was convinced. Like, it's amazing. And it's one of the best things about Star Trek is that, and I attribute this to even Cybok. You have an antagonist with his own agenda, and then being a good person actually changes their mind, and it changes their mind. They don't have to die. They were just like, holy, you're right. Wow.
Change is the essential process of all existence.
Precisely. I just love that Maddox doesn't walk away humiliated in this episode. Maddox is still and treated with respect by Data. I think that's incredible.
They become pen pals.
Yes, we'll see that soon.
Yeah, we'll see that in Data's Day if we get to Data's Day. I almost question your life.
I know. This
that
is so
action injured you and saved me. I will not forget it.
Oh, man. You are a wise man, and I appreciate that, my friend. Like, I adore. All right. I'll be back in just 1 second.
And so, so now we're moving on to your Jazzy.
No, I'll be back in a second. You create
you're gonna
Lol.
be Jazzy.
I'll be back.
All
I'll
right,
be back
I'll
by
have
the
a
time
baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yes, Data has a baby, but I'll be back by the time that Lol chooses their appearance.
Her gender?
Appearance. Person.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Offspring first aired on March 12th, 1990. It was written by Renee Echevarria. I've heard this name pronounced different ways, but that's the one I'm going with. Directed by Jonathan Frakes. This one is my favorite episode in all of Star Trek The Next Generation because I just really appreciate, because Data is my favorite character, and I'm just so happy that he gets to extend that personhood, not just to be able to have control over his own body, but also to extend that, to create his own family, that he can do more than he does amazing stuff as a Starfleet officer, but now he can also have his own personal life and he can create that himself, and so that extends his abilities as a character beyond. So people aren't thinking of him as just a walking tricorder anymore, if anyone ever thought that. He's got a capability of reproduction, and he shows how dedicated he can be as a father. So we get to see Data be a dad. This was also the first episode to be directed by Jonathan Frakes, and the first to be directed by a member of the cast, even though, okay, in Next Generation anyway, because of course before this we had Leonard Nimoy and Shatner direct movies. Frakes recalled, okay, so Frakes says, I went to Rick Berman and said I'd like to do a show. He said I'd have to go to school, and so I spent about 300 hours in the editing room at the dubbing stage, learning about that side of it. Editing was the side of things I felt weakest in. I naturally looked over the shoulders of all of our regular directors and took seminars, read textbooks, and finally, I didn't go away. Rick was kind enough to me. The Offspring, he gave me The Offspring. And I was thrilled because I got a data show. And those always work. Those always work. Yeah, so he realized, hey, I got a good one here. And he did. And he did a wonderful job because this is my favorite episode. Michael Pillar's set continues. The Offspring was a great spec script. Except it was at first barely about our people. It was about a very brand new, exciting female android that Data created out of his own image. And it was all about her. And I said, that's great. But it can't be about the guest star. It's got to be about one of our people. It's got to be about Data. It's not about Data's child as much as it is about how Data deals with being a parent. Everybody will be able to relate to that and empathize with the problems he has as a parent of a new child, especially when that child is threatened by all sorts of outside forces. Yes, and much like Measure of a Man, where Maddox is threatening to take Data away, there is a admiral in this episode who is threatening to take Lal away to a research center in a very similar fashion. So the parallels between this episode and Measure of a Man are undeniable. They're there, and they're well done. They're really well done. This is a fantastic sequel to Measure of a Man. And let's see. Is there something? Oh, hello to Mikey Sue's 4 Data's Trial equals one of the best Star Trek episodes. Yes, that's right. It really is. And it's fantastic. So Data was forcing Maddox to use his pronouns? uh no. Maddox was just saying it and that, and nobody forced Maddox to say he. That's why it was good. Is because he started doing it of his own accord. But I do get the joke. Thank you, Booger. And hello to Booger. I would be remiss if I didn't play it. So I will. I almost think I need to have a clip for everybody, but that's going to take some time. Did anyone else notice that the judge didn't have a back bra strap? They must wear something in the front only. I don't know. I didn't notice that.
Cookies? Is that what they call? Jill, is that the thing that they put in bras? I'm not a lady. I don't have a bra. But don't they call them cookies?
Where they just put it over the nipples or what?
Like over the boob.
Franco says suction cups? I don't know. Well, we're theorizing on wardrobe here, and I don't know if this is something we can ask the production. Like, oh, if I finally get interviews with people, this is the question. These are the questions my viewers will be asking. What kind of bra was Judge Filippo wearing in Measure of a Man? I've been saying Echeverria. Mikey Susie 4 says, pronounce the var like car and try to slur the 2 R's, Jill.
Yar.
No, I don't know. I can't do it. Gavin Blackbird says, it's the courtroom set from The Measure of a Man, redressed.
Yeah, I thought it was the Battle Bridge. It was the Battle Bridge set.
No, you're right. This is the Battle Bridge. Yes. This
not,
is the...
Yeah.
Not this, but the courtroom.
Yes.
The courtroom from the last episode. Jonathan Frakes knows how to work with his actors. Yes. They actually listen to him.
Yes. Oh, hey, Mikey. I'm sorry. I didn't say hello. Yes, he does. But I also think that it may be a detriment. Have you seen Thunderbirds?
No.
Yeah. So there are, as it is with any creative director, you take things for paychecks. And I'm sure that Jonathan Frakes was very passionate about the Thunderbirds, but the execution, very strange to see a live action version of the Thunderbirds.
Hey, we got an answer to the question.
Yes.
At a convention, Marina Sirtis once said that they all wore the standard Starfleet push-up bras.
Nice.
And we've officially entered the red light district. Oh, if you
come on, if we're talking about bras, that's in the Sears catalog.
Yes, the Sears catalog. I was thinking it wasn't quite red light. If I'm not embarrassed about saying it, then we haven't reached any lights.
Now this Lal is played by the ginger actor from Angel One. Angel One? No, not Angel One. It's the one where Riker wears the it's the misandry planet. Where
that is
women
Angel
in charge.
One.
Is that Angel One? No, Angel One. Oh, okay. I thought Angel One was the one with the Edo and the Edo god, and they have to save Wesley from
no, that's
through the
Justice.
tulips.
That's
my
Justice.
mistake. So Angel One, yeah, he plays one of the assistants to the chief lady.
Oh, cool. You didn't get her name. I guess I haven't been saying a lot of actor names this episode. Which
no, this is a man. This is a dude.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because you remember that.
Really well done. I can't tell, really.
Yes. Well, he's a ginger, so he's automatically funny looking. I'm sorry. That was just a joke. I think that many gingers are very good looking.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Lal is my child, and so I have that. Let's get to the episode. I'm a little off right now because I was in the chat, and now I'm moving back to the
Offspring
video clips. If he wishes to call Lal his child, then who are we to
argue? But that's not where it was.
Lal is my child.
And he says that. And so, yes, from Data went to a cybernetics conference, and he learned how to transfer his own cybertronic brain into another he learned how to transfer his own brain into another positronic brain. And so I guess he's figured out what Maddox wanted to do this whole time, but in a way that resembles procreation.
Well, and also considering we're just coming off of Measure of a Man, and we don't Data didn't believe that Maddox had the capability to recreate Dr. Soong's work, and so his fear that he would lose his individuality and flavor for the situation. Now, at The Offspring, he's like, I think I figured it out. I want to implement it. He is taking chances, but the thing is that he does succeed for a time.
He does. And
he's actually too good at it.
Difficult it is.
But he's also too good at it because I think that Data cannot. Spoilers for The Offspring, but Lal cannot survive the onslaught of emotion.
It's too much. It's too fast.
And Data has no idea how to program emotion into Lal's matrix.
He wasn't even trying to. It was an aberration, as they call it later in the episode, or these things where Lal is exceeding Data's programming despite himself, despite his inability to program these things.
Oh,
they're happening anyway because she's just supposed to be a copy of him, but there are just these, well, as spoilers for the rest of the episode, there are changes on the quantum level, basically, that I guess might account for these aberrations, but unfortunately it's just too much for her. It is.
Echeverria. It's just fun to say. Echeverria. And 2 takes breaks.
Echeverria.
Echeverria. Renee Echeverria. Okay. Sorry. It just looks like such a musical
I've
name.
decided to allow my child to choose its own sex and appearance.
So you did a transfer from your brain into law.
Data
If he wishes to call Lal his child, then who are we to...
There, that's when I was supposed to play that. Well, I like it when Picard says he would have liked to have been informed, and Data says he hasn't seen anyone else consulting you about their procreation.
Yes.
And that's a good point. Nobody else. There are babies born on the Enterprise, and as we'll see in Data's day, and I'm sure they didn't have to get permission.
Well, and also it's kind of it's weird for Data to have to explain this to the man who, advocated for his individuality and sentience. And it's like, I thought you said I was a person, sir.
Well, yeah, and so we have to do it all over again here. This is why this is my favorite episode, is because yes, you
There's the
acknowledge my
meme.
rights.
Yes.
You acknowledge that I have rights, but what if there's another? What if I make another one? What if I reproduce?
Someone should screenshot this and just say, like, make as many memes as possible out of it.
Oh, I could get you a clean copy. This one has Eric's all over it to protect me from.
No, I want the Eric's, and I want us at the side as well. Like, it was real things that we said, and you're Picard, and I say something stupid. So the top meme is Scott says Scott, and then it says like, oh, he says coitus again, and that's it. That's the.
Well, and Data didn't have to have any in order to have this baby, and
True.
there was
Lol is android Jesus.
There were some notes that said that they were going to have Data somehow make a baby with the Enterprise computer, and I'm glad they didn't do that. That would have been stupid.
Yes. And I'm glad they saved that for the Barkley episode where he has sex with the computer a lot.
Oh, I would love to do a Barkley episode too. Oh, that would be
sure. No argument.
Due to their children.
Data, I am not talking about parenting. I am talking about the extraordinary consequences of creating a new life.
Yeah. See, and that's so huge.
And I am prepared to accept the responsibility.
And it is positronic by nature, mechanically copied from Data's own schematics. It may not be biological, but it is certainly evolutionary. Wouldn't you agree?
It is, and it's evolutionary if you think about it from Data's perspective, but it's a invention if you think about it from Picard's perspective, which is going to change, which is changing currently. His thoughts of determining who Lal is. And there was a moment in that scene where he says he's the last of his kind, but I guess he just thinks they just think Lore is dead or something, right? From Data Lore.
Yeah, they don't even know. Oh wait, no. Where is this? What episode is this?
This is season 3.
Yeah, Lore is still Lore's dead.
Yeah, and they suppose he's dead. They just because he exists.
Yes, that's what I mean. He's not actually dead, but as far as Data is concerned, yeah, Lore is no more.
Mm-hmm. And so they're trying, Lol is trying different appearances and genders, and they're, I forget how many did he say? So, so Troy
37.
is asleep. No,
I
not
think it's
37.
37. Maybe it's
No,
42.
there's what?
47?
There's way more than that.
I don't know.
Okay, let me go, get rid of this one.
Like, what if C-3PO did sit-ups is what I'm looking at.
Oh, I like when Law says, "I choose your sex and appearance."
Yeah.
And Data says, "No, Law, that would be confusing." it would be kind of funny though. But I'm glad they didn't do that either.
I think that
Several thousand choices.
Oh.
But
Well,
and
across
that's
a
why
galaxy, I can understand, sure.
that's why Troy falls asleep, and then Data wakes her up when there are only 4 choices left.
It's like choosing a skin or like creating your appearance in a Bethesda game. You spend an hour making it look exactly how you want, and now we play. So that's what LOL's doing right now. This is the worst
Andorian female.
That is the worst Andorian I have ever seen.
It looks terrible. Yeah, I agree.
It looks awful. I don't understand how they couldn't do it.
Why did they make the Andorian look like the Great Gazoo?
Well, that's a good question. Because you're right. Little smaller body, flying, cape, done.
A human male, very attractive according to Troy.
But that's the thing, like, and I don't understand, and I'm sure that there's much hubbub about being respectful. I'm sure that they wanted to change the makeup for the Andorians just to sort of keep up with the Klingon evolution, because we hadn't seen an Andorian since the original series. And I think that they overcompensated. And yes, that's how we got the Great Gazoo. But we are also, it is beneficial that we get Enterprise to sort of redeem the Andorians. If you like Andorians, Star Trek Enterprise, my friends.
Yes. Oh, I was always fascinated by their ability the production of those antennae in Enterprise is incredible. The show of emotion that they put into them.
Sure. Well, and also
really
like they're not sniveling. Like I always found them sniveling in the original series, and so I liked that they were sort of a more organized and disciplined Klingon.
Well, they were less developed in the original series because they were basically just brought on to be adversarial with the other species that were
right. They were like low key. They were low key Klingons.
Kind of. And they kind of are, but they're more than that in Enterprise. But they kind of keep that warring nature.
Yes.
But
which I respect. I love
we're not talking about Andorians today.
No, I'm just saying. There was an Andorian in the episode. I wanted to bring up Andorians. I'm sorry for slowing you down.
No, I do. No, I do like Andorians. So they're pretty cool. I played one for Halloween.
Really?
A human female.
I like her.
For the longest time, I thought this was Baby from Dirty Dancing.
A friend for Worf.
That would have been a different
friend
episode.
for Worf. Yeah.
Imagine the whole rest of this episode with just this guy instead of Lol.
Yeah.
Instead of well, he would be Lol. But
hello, Lol.
I love you, Father.
Oh, that would be so awkward and weird.
Oh, you know what? But if he could make me feel things, I might be impressed.
You know what? It would be an interesting exploration on how different people respond to your physical appearance. Because
it's true. Yeah.
Like if this is what Lol turns into, then automatically it's a Worf episode, and that's racist. So,
but that's where Troy goes too. A friend.
Yeah, Troy is racist. You heard it here first.
Well, they were talking about socialization and how it would have been
Yes.
difficult for the Andorian if they had gone with her.
Well, maybe her logical conclusion was like path of least resistance. I only see really young, attractive Caucasians here, so I'll be a young, attractive Caucasian. I guess that's an
Well, that
insult
could
to Geordie.
Oh, well, and that's the thing is that Star Trek's not supposed to be concerned with that. You're supposed to
Yes.
infinite diversity with infinite combinations. Law should be able to be a Klingon and still have a good time.
Right. But it would be weird to see like that Klingon in a tuxedo.
Hmm.
Congratulations, Data. It's a girl.
She's so happy.
Yes. And what a great performance. What is the name of the actress who plays Lal? This is my job. I'm supposed to know the actors.
Haley Todd.
Haley does such a great job, like in terms of the mannerisms. Remember the episode with the little kid who wanted to be Data?
Oh yeah, the little kid who pretended to be Data. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think that these both they do great jobs at emulating Brent Spiner's brilliant performance.
And I did you listen to the commentary for this one? Because I'm sure
I didn't.
Data helped.
I'm sure. I didn't see the.
Brent.
I didn't see the commentary. Brent.
No. Oh, there was none. Probably. Measure of Man was a special episode, so that's probably why that one had a commentary.
We are a family, Law.
But again, this is the first episode of Frakes, and it's also a really well-regarded episode. Data.
Colors produced on a surface by applying a pigment.
Mm-hmm.
Soft.
Yes.
Show me more, Father.
Her performance is really engaging, but there is a certain level of watching an articulate baby experience the world. This setup for this episode is dependent on Haley's performance, and I think it's good. But the first time I watched it, I was like, what the hell is this Pinocchio story I'm watching? And it's not until the end with the interference of the Admiral, and then again, the reverence of that Admiral. It's really, really compelling. And so you do have to sit through a little bit of this. This is
that's why it's my favorite character. That's why it's my favorite episode and not yours, because I don't think any of this is something I have to sit through. I think all of it's really exciting. I think making a new android and seeing how a brand new android explores the universe. This is something that Data went through a long time ago, but he was in a laboratory when it happened to him, when he learned all of these things, and Lal gets the privilege of actually learning this stuff from someone who actually went through it.
Yes. And what you're describing is when
I like this montage of Lal learning all of these things.
Visual comprehension is especially difficult for Law.
Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit, but
I was breaking up.
A little bit.
Am I still breaking up?
No, you're good now. Maybe you were, you know what? Maybe your microphone, you have to turn the passion a little down. It can't take that much passion in your argument for this episode. No. And I mean that in terms of the mechanics.
Okay,
please
so
keep your excitement and awesome. Say it again.
The only thing I said that really was meaningful was that Data went through everything we're seeing Lal go through, and so it's really fascinating for me to see what it's like to be an android who's just been created, and also has the privilege of being guided by someone who's been there before.
But that's an episode of Deep Space Nine with Dr. Mora. They
Yes.
have little, yeah, they do that again. And
They do it again.
I think it's more, well, again, it's just,
I think
it's another parallel between different episodes. We were talking about Court Martial with Measure of a Man, and I think that there is a certain level of that episode with Dr. Mora on Deep Space Nine.
Yes, Odo becomes a dad too, sort of.
Yes.
Visual comprehension is especially difficult for Locke. She is also learning to supplement her innate android behavior with simulated human responses.
Yes, because that's how Data processes emotions. So he's probably showing her how he deals with the interactions and trying to predict other people's emotions.
Well, I wonder if he used the blinking trick, like with Juliana Tainer. Remember? Oh, my stars! Looks like no, go back one. It looked like the movie Dodgeball, but with Data.
Well, it should.
Yes.
You can't catch the ball.
Well, reflexes.
I share in her experience. Almost as though I am learning things over again.
And that's the whole idea behind parenthood. And whenever I tutor my kids in math, I get to learn math all over again. Hey, Princess Fiona's here. When did you get here? I've been away from chat way too long. I wanted to get started on the Offspring, but it's so good that you're here. I still think when Riker took Data's arm off, Data should have ripped Riker's arm off and said, "See, I could do that too." Oh my god! You know what? I think that Seth MacFarlane had the same exact thought, because that's exactly what he does in the Orville when there was a prank that was done on Isaac. Gordon does a prank on Isaac, and so Isaac's prank on Gordon is to take off Gordon's arm, leg.
Arm. Yeah.
That's great. And hello to Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective.
Tommy and the Guinea Pig.
Whoa, wait. There was a lot of chat here. I want to make sure I say hi to everybody who's here, like Daryl Brewer. And Mikey Sears4 says Haley Todd did Lol's voice, and Leonard Crowfoot played the mannequin form of Lol.
Yes.
Oh, and that's who you were talking about, who's the ginger.
Yes.
Data's actions was less destructive than Maddox.
Yes.
And Booger says, just saw the IMDb that Patricia McPherson was an Angel One. She was Bonnie on Knight Rider.
Oh! In the merry old land of Oz.
This episode predicted what was coming 30 years down the line. I knew somebody was going to say that about choosing your gender and all that stuff. But I was waiting for it. Thank you, Gavin. You didn't let me down. Burger says in Star Trek, one is only dead until they are no longer dead.
True.
Well, true sometimes. Hopefully they don't do it too often. Spock was a good one, but then sometimes people come back that shouldn't come back. I don't know.
Like Tasha?
Well, no, Tasha's fine because they didn't literally bring her back.
Alternate universe.
The alternate universe makes that okay. But I have to think about that. I don't like it to be overdone. I've always wondered why B4 didn't have a similar reaction as Lal when Data transferred his memory to him. Because B4 was like a prototype, and so he didn't work as well, I think.
Well, and not only that, but the secret ingredient in Lal is love. So, like this is Data's creation, his attempt at emulation of parenthood, and he does a pretty good job. It's just there was a defect, unfortunately.
Yes, he's a fantastic father. He does all his research. He reads all the baby books.
Anyway, I'll be back in just 1 second, but I do want you to keep in mind, because I know it's coming up shortly. I want to know how old Lal is when Riker hits on her.
Okay. I'm not sure precisely. I know that she's only alive for about 50 days, but I guess we'll talk about that when you return. Burger 414 says, knowing what we do now about Troy and Worf, what was her real motivation here? Ooh, what? Hmm. And Klingon, the chat says, Klingon were the Chinese, Romulans were the Soviets, Federation was US, NATO, and the Ferengi were Jewish. Wait a minute. I don't know specifically if they were Jewish, but maybe. Gene Roddenberry had figured it all out. Yeah, there's a weird thing where there's the aliens in Star Trek kind of represent certain things, and they have certain characteristics that are magnified and in a microscope kind of lens.
Well, it is stereotyping, and you know your mileage may vary when it comes to the difference between stereotyping and prejudice or bigotry. I think that they may be harmful stereotypes, but I don't think that it was ever intended to be malicious.
No, I don't
It
think so
was
either.
just a common malice. That's
What?
just my perspective.
Oh,
But I'm a
the same
cis white guy.
as the same Haley Todd who later portrayed the titular character's mom, Jo, in Lizzie McGuire. That Disney Channel show was created by Terry Minsky, who later created Andy Mock. Thank you, Sentai Ranger Donnie.
More
And
phenomenal.
yes, this I definitely know is true. Is the Klingons were inspired by Mongolian warriors,
which is rad. I think it's rad. What, the Mongols?
Okay.
Well, no,
Oh,
but
yeah.
historically, like, what are we? I'm sorry, am I supposed to culturally understand the Mongols? I thought that they were a murderous band of conquest people. So that was my understanding. If I am wrong, please correct.
I think there might be a misunderstanding in the chat, but I hope you guys figure it out.
Oh no!
I don't know if when there's problems,
I'll solve it. Check
know.
out the beat while the DJ revolves it. Hey, we got lol, baby.
Right. Oh, I don't think Mega Cropper. The rules of acquisition. Oh, okay. See, I wanna avoid that discussion because I want to stick to Star Trek. If I start discussing
the comparisons between Hebrews
religion
and Ferengi,
and culture and
no, that's a
the
tough
history of
one.
Israel, I'm gonna be here all day trying to research
Yeah.
and figure out what's going on. I'm confused by all of it and I don't understand it, and that is my contribution.
I don't think that it's maybe it's a stereotype. Maybe you're looking for the stereotype of the comparison between Jews and Ferengi. I always thought that they were just a representation of avarice. I thought that they were. That's what it was. It was boiling down the idea of greed, and that's why they're fugly.
Yes, it's more like capitalism. It's more like it's a commentary on capitalism and what that means in the 24th century.
That's what I think. I don't think it's a dog whistle or code for Jews. I just think it's, what if we had a really greedy race? What if we had a really war race? What if we had a really sneaky race? What if we had an oppressive race? What if we had a subjugated race? What if, and I just think it is a distillation to a stereotype, but I don't think that it necessarily applies to any particular persuasion of the
And
humans.
the thing is, I'm not sure if it does or not, and that's why I don't like to say it, because I'm not sure. Like, you
I'm not
can say
sure.
maybe, but I haven't read it in the production notes that it's for sure that. And so I don't want to say it without actually knowing for sure. So I need receipts. I need somebody who worked on creating the Ferengi and saying that that's what they are. But
Yeah,
I'm
like,
not
and
sure. I don't think so.
well, and Gene Roddenberry created the Ferengi, and I wouldn't consider the man to be anti-Semitic.
Yeah, me neither. We like to put the different aliens into neat little boxes, but they don't always match up to any one human race or nationality exactly. Yeah, but
Yeah.
exactly. That's a much better way of saying it that I couldn't say, but I definitely would be amenable to anybody's argument in any which way that they want to think of it.
Sure.
But speaking of what my purpose is, where I come from, what do I contribute? These are all the questions that Lal is having for herself as she's gaining sentience.
Father, what is my purpose?
Our function is to contribute in a positive way.
Where did I come from?
On logic, aesthetics, metaphysics, and epistemology. You are truly becoming sentient, Lal. Awareness to question and examine your perceptions.
I enjoy
And
how Brent Spiner performs it, because he's emphatic and yet still reserved. Like, incorporating, because he was pretty wooden in the early days of season 1, but when he actually learned how, like, the cadence of Data and the importance, like, that was Data writing in all caps.
And it still ties back to Measure of a Man, because in his going away party, he said, I might become a teacher. I might be a teacher. And here he is. He's exceptional at it.
Mm-hmm. Also, well, weird. Never mind.
Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of pissed they didn't have Lal's personality manifest in. Oh, okay. Oh, show
In the
Lal Dragons
yeah.
in that show, STP season 3.
Yeah.
I think they missed a huge opportunity
to humanize Data with that. Yeah, Shield Wall of Dragons. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I thought that they gave lip service, but they did not pay appropriate tribute. I agree, because again, number 1 with the bullet is Tasha. Number 2, I'm sorry, is Lal. Like, I think Lal. Or you know what? What if, Jill? What if we changed my parameters for this and Lal is the cornerstone?
Lal is a cornerstone for me, because she is of him. She comes from him, and she's his daughter, and I think that's extremely meaningful to everything. He so didn't want her to go into oblivion at the end that he actually incorporates her into his programming.
Yes.
Lance from the Outcast Creative is here.
Yeah.
I would love to be on this, but I have an interview tonight. This episode is one of my favorites with Data's daughter. This is my favorite TNG episode. Brent Spiner is such an incredible
actor. You said that about Measure of a Man, you liar.
No, I didn't.
All right.
No, this is my favorite TNG episode.
I'm sorry for calling you a liar.
I'm not a liar.
Please.
I've always said this.
Baseless accusations.
Although they meld together so much, I don't mind. What were you going to say before I said hi to Lance?
No, you were. I interrupted in the middle of that comment. So if you wanted to read it, I interrupted halfway through. I was rude. Did you finish it? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Well, I was rude, Lance. I apologize.
Norda Poopus, Cuber, hello. Well, he's got essentially, he'd love to join us, except he can't because he's got to work on an interview that he's going to have tonight. And good luck on that interview. I hope it goes well.
Yes.
And we're so happy
Is that-
just to see you say hi today.
Yes. Like, so hang on, go back. There it is. So do we have like a season 2 Troy jumpsuit being worn underneath a season 3 flowing prom dress? Like all she did was steal from Troy's wardrobe.
Well, you mean, oh, did she dress herself?
Well, look,
Or
doesn't
did
it
Data
look
dress
like a
her?
season 2 maroon jumpsuit? Oh, and it's being worn underneath that turquoise prom dress.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a possibility. Troy has a lot of frivolous clothing that nobody else wears, and so it makes
Yes.
sense to raid her stash.
Yes.
So that's
I don't understand, Counselor Troy. Every time I come over in the morning after Commander Riker has come over for dinner, all I do is find your clothing crumpled at the foot of the bed.
Oh man, this would be so fun if she would have been alive and we could have had an episode like that. Where that's how she learns about that.
Sex? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
did someone say coitus? Anyway, no, continue on. This is the wholesome part of the episode. This is where Lal is actually learning and absorbing from
Gaining
Data.
the capacity to learn even more. She's gaining the capacity to think critically, which a lot of people still can't do.
Oh, and by the way, I do not know the name of this actor. I love this guy. I think he's a brilliant actor, especially at the end of this episode, but he was also in All the President's Men with Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. And he is fantastic. He's sort of like Garrett Graham. And as a guy who shows up in stuff and you're like, I'm so glad you're here.
His name is Nicholas Coaster.
He's great.
So yeah, he wants to take Data to laboratory Galar 4, and superior facilities exist there, and so he believes that she'd be better off with them and not with Data. That Data will hold back her development. But of course, this is where Picard believes it's on Data's side, believing that Lal is his child and she's better off with him. So he's going to fight for Data's right to be a father.
Yes. And it seems that Jean-Luc Picard actually understands the honor and duty that is involved in being a Chadich.
Well, and we have a parallel again to Measure of a Man in direct quotes.
The starship's mission is to seek new life, and that is exactly what Commander Data
is doing. Yes, that's what Data is doing.
New life, and that is exactly what Commander Data.
Oh man, one of these days they're actually going to play the whole thing that you want to hear.
Yeah, no, I'm using a website that grabs the clips, and so for me, it does it for me, and so it doesn't always do it perfectly. But that's okay. It keeps me safe from the copyright.
But again, it's kind of like when you have the Orville bridge sounds in the background. It's just I enjoy the audio. I enjoy the audio reference to the episode that we're discussing. Thank you.
Oh, I can play some Orville bridge sounds if you want. I always forget about it.
It seems kind of rude if we're talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, right. I guess you're right. Should I get some TNG background clips? Am I allowed to do that? I don't know.
Yes, the answer is
I
yes.
guess I could try. Yes, I can do it. Okay.
For bridge sounds. But you know what? I would prefer engineering because then you can hear the warp core throb.
Okay. Well, next time. We'll talk about TNG again.
What?
So Wesley suggests that Data put Lal in school, which it turns out to be a terrible idea. And
yes,
And they laugh at her because they're afraid of her because she's.
Don't we get
new.
Alexander?
No, we don't get Alexander.
Oh, I thought there was an Alexander.
Unfortunately, there is no cameo from Alexander.
So without understanding humor, I have somehow mastered it.
I love that.
Yes.
She definitely.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel a lot of the time.
And it's like, no, they were laughing at you because you're different. And that's how some people express their fear, is through humor.
Yeah, but that's also like, that's kind of a judge. No, it's a logical assessment of the situation. But that is the moment where Data teaches Lal shame.
And she doesn't like that. She doesn't like thinking like that. She doesn't want to be an outsider. Like she can't feel the shame, but she can sense being apart from others, being other. Being an other. And okay. Picard.
Hey, no, go back one. No,
No.
you don't have to go back one. I just want I love Beverly. Beverly is my doctor. Yeah, no, I was just going to highlight, I love it whenever I see Picard's pajamas. It's just something, and I was like, seriously, at night, you get out of your uniform, and you're like, this will be most comfortable. It's like, I don't know, man. Star Trek pajamas are weird.
Yes. And so basically, this is Admiral Halftel, and he's basically the Maddox. He's the Maddox of the episode. He's coming to take Lal away. He's the adversarial. Starfleet bureaucracy saying we know better than the Enterprise what to do with Lal.
Yes.
And joining in teaching Lal is Guinan. Guinan's showing her around. And we find out that Lal can use contractions.
Just help her realize she's not alone.
But I am incapable of giving her love.
Now, why do I find that so hard to believe?
Yes, Bev. Like, thank you.
Yes, I think that's an important moment in the episode where you realize that yes, Data did is capable of love even without being able to feel the emotion himself. That's how much he does care for others.
Well, not only that, but also I would say next to Geordi, Beverly is Data's second best friend, because it was in Data lore that he reveals his off switch. And there are a lot of things, even like the relationship between Crusher and Data. Crusher is Data's doctor. Like, I do believe that. And I think that she knows how to treat Data better than most. And my evidence to that would be in the Wesley episode, The Game, where she is the one that they have to take over so that she can disable Data, because the only expert after Geordi is Bev.
Yes,
So
I was going to say that Geordi is Data's doctor.
Yes. Well, but when you watch The Game and you wonder how a blind man plays a visual game, I don't understand. But anyway, moving on. I do think Crusher is. I think Crusher. It goes like in terms of hierarchy of who these people hang out with. I think it goes Geordi, then Beverly, and then I don't know. Like, I doubt Data. Well, no, Data and Picard do Shakespeare in the holodeck. So that would be my rank.
Well, Data does have friendships with the crew in certain aspects, but and which would be very interesting to explore.
I'm empowered to take the android back with me.
Learned in the language Hindi means beloved.
Not entirely correct.
And do you have an expansion on that? notion? Or
Well, no, apparently
you just want to
lol
say not
is
correct?
no. It's linguistics, and I sort of browsed this. I'm not going to bring up specific points because I am not a linguist, but there are lol is beloved, yes, but it's usually given to the male offspring in the same way that David is beloved in Hebrew. I want to say Hebrew. And so there are different ways, but also lol could be ruby, and in terms of something of great treasure. There are many interpretations. None of them are negative, but it is dependent on
That's
certain entomologies.
Okay, I like that. See, that's what I wanted to know. Thanks for explaining it.
Well, and I would say, don't listen to me. You don't have to take my.
You used a verbal contraction.
You said I've instead of I have.
Sorry, I interrupted your reading Rainbow quote.
Yeah, it's fine, but it was reading Rainbow.
Then he is questioning my ability as a parent.
He is. The Admiral obviously wants to take Lal and raise her differently than Data would. Which, I don't know. It makes more sense for her to be with Data because of how she was made. If there's a problem with her, he's the model, and that's an argument that he says later directly to the Admiral.
Now, I want to be as gentle as possible in this particular note, but this is the flagship of the Federation, yes? This is this is Starfleet by definition. So now you have a 5-day-old unsupervised. Like, do we put security on Lal? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. This is the flagship of the Federation. Are we just going to let Lal run around?
Yeah, they kind of do, but Data kind of leaves her and looks back at her like leaving your kid at kindergarten. So it's kind of Guinan is kind of her caretaker while Lal is in 10 Ford.
Unwitting babysitter or willing.
Yeah, no, she agreed to it. They have a look, and she's well, I don't think she's 5 days old. I think overall, I think it was 50 days. I forget how many days. It's
I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. It's just a bad joke.
Oh, was there a bad joke? I didn't get it.
Oh no, I mean when Riker comes in and hits on the sex bot.
Oh right. Well, he doesn't hit on her. She assaults him.
Oh well.
What are they doing?
It's called flirting.
They seem to be communicating telepathically. Guinan, is the joining of hands a symbolic act for humans?
Humans like to touch.
Humans like to touch each other.
To touch. Yes, it's true.
He's biting that female.
No, he's not.
She's genuinely concerned with the welfare of the lady.
And I apologize for being a classist, but it's interesting that he's wearing an engineering jumpsuit and not even in uniform. What is this? And also, you have terrible style. And she's in uniform. Where did he come from?
I don't know. You know what? Maybe he's a civilian and she's fallen in love with the staff. I don't know.
So does the Enterprise get like a +1?
I guess sometimes you can, because it's a family ship. You get children.
I'll be a botanist. What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the botanist in this case.
Yeah, exactly. He's the original Keiko.
He works in the Arboretum with Keiko. Yes.
Exactly.
And he's just this whole episode is a delight for me. Of course, until it's not.
Well, and the thing is, and the interesting thing is that the argument being presented, Guinan wants to expand Law's social interactions, such as, and it is used against Picard and Data. And it's like, and what do you have? One of the most incredible creations in Federation history. What do you have? Serving drinks. And Guinan is there like, oh, there's a lot you can learn.
That's right, because, well, it was just explained a lot better during the school scene where the teacher says, we tried to put Lal with the older children because of how intelligent she is and all the stuff she knows. But then she didn't know how to interact with them. She didn't know how to relate. And so
Daryl's
then she
got to
had to go with
go.
the younger kids. Oh, Daryl, hey. Thank you, Daryl, for hanging out. I hope you have a good rest of your Friday. Have a fantastic weekend, and it was good seeing you. And I know I haven't gotten back to the chat because I want to talk about this episode, but I will get back there in just a bit. But thank you
Yeah,
so
man.
much, Skyly, for taking the time to look at that.
Well, and that's the thing, is that we're having such a good time talking about it that we are, derelict in our duties.
What are your intentions toward my daughter?
Butt stuff.
Well, that would presuppose that I don't know what I'm doing, but I do know what I'm doing. Trust me.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, and I know you know what you're doing. But do they know that you know that I know that you know what you're doing?
I think they know that we know that I know. I can't.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was good. We know what you're doing then.
Oh, this is my favorite. This is why I haven't gotten back to the chat, because I had to get to my favorite quote of the episode before I let the rest of the episode just breeze by us, because we've got to get to the last one.
Yes.
And this is my favorite.
I'll never know love. Then why do you still try to emulate humans? Serve except to remind you that you are incomplete.
Until I realized, it is the struggle itself that is most important. We must strive to be more than we are, Lao. It does not matter that we will never reach our ultimate goal. The effort yields its own rewards.
That last one is a permanent. You should really have that as a permanent clip available.
Yeah, I should.
Can you play it one more time?
This informed on my young adulthood.
Can you play it one more
time?
time?
Still to this day, it's good advice for anybody.
The effort yields its own rewards.
Yes, because Lal is feeling pessimistic. Well, what does this matter if I can't feel love and I just get to watch all of these people experience these things that I'll never have? What's the whole point of doing this, pretending to be human? Why, when we won't ever actually be human? And Data has the best answer. I have asked myself that many times as I've struggled to be more human, until I realized it is the struggle itself that is most important. We must strive to be more than we are, Lal. It does not matter that we will never reach our ultimate goal. The effort yields its own rewards. And this is something that can be applied to any aspect of life, any goal that you have that seems insurmountable, unreachable. If you keep striving towards it, maybe someday you'll reach it, maybe you won't, but in the interim, you will still gain something from it.
My limited understanding of consciousness and existence is that I am actually one of the few million clusters of molecules that actually have some sort of self-awareness, if you want to call the human existence self-awareness. And so I have the benefit of communication, self-reflection, and I'm dazzled by it. And it's just funny to be dropped on a board game called Earth and then be like, okay, here are the rules. Here's what you got to do. And it's like, all right, fine, Jesus. And no, but I just like these episodes of Star Trek across all of the franchise, and not, obviously no filth this Friday. But I'm just saying this is an episode that it encourages my mind to generate new ideas about what existence is. And wow, yeah. Synapses are firing, This is great.
Right, it harkens back to the judge Philippa saying, does Data have a soul? I'm not sure that I do.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And that's one of the things, again, everything I needed to learn, I learned from Star Trek. If there is a person who is your ally, who is absolutely certain of something, you just got to be like, are you sure? And if they will engage with, are you sure? Then they are your friends forever. Like, it's just great. Maddox changes his mind. Louvois changes her mind. And let's keep going with the Offspring.
And so does Admiral. The Admiral has that change
yes.
too.
Lighton? Is it Lighton?
Captain.
The name of the Admiral. Carol?
Halftel.
Halftel. I like the actor. I don't care about the name. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. She may have emulated Troy, but there was not enough cleavage to be a true costume swap, said Burger 414.
Makes sense. Well, and also, she's only a couple of days old.
Yeah. And, the actress who plays her, Haley Todd, is one of the most authentic people you'd ever meet, and she has a London East and working class accent. Oh, wow. Can't even
Is
tell.
she? I thought she was American.
I thought so too. That shows what a great actress she is. Princess Fiona has left the chat. She's probably gone to Twitter to talk about us. Okay. Oh well, I'm sorry, Princess Fiona, if there was something that I failed to support you on, and I do support you, Princess Fiona, and your ideas, and I support everybody's ideas here. And I was hoping that it was just going to be an interesting discussion.
I just don't want to. I don't want to attribute.
I don't want any
negativity.
If there was any offense I'm taken here from anybody, I'm really sorry about it. I didn't.
Well, but we're like, there are obvious reflections.
I apologize.
There are reflections of reality in the art, and you can sort of attribute it to malice, but I attribute it to, I don't know, innocence, naivete. And if there was malice attributed to it, and we can find specific situations and when that happened, then yeah, this guy didn't like the Jews. It's like, all right, sure.
Oh, Mikey Sue's for it's gonna. Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, where is that in the production notes? I just want to know, like, if someone has.
Yeah.
So someone has
I just watched Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, and there's always people saying that Watto is an obvious Jewish stereotype. And I was like, so the flying mini elephant reminded you of Jews. Maybe that's your problem. I didn't see that. I saw a mini flying elephant, and I was just like, what a weird thing.
It is kind
that
of
weird thing.
Flies...
He's greedy. I don't apply, like, when it comes to, you know what, maybe the Ferengi are an analogy for the Scottish, who are notoriously cheap. Maybe that's them. Like, I think
don't know.
It's a matter of if you want to identify what you want to identify.
Okay, I'm ready to time.
All right, well, we got to finish this episode and then do a part two.
Mikey Sue's for says he needs to go, but he's going to be on Raquel's Night Owl panel.
Nice. Good work, Mikey. I hope you're well. I'm surprised neither one of us were so close to Toronto, and neither one of us is going to Fan Expo.
Yes, this is exactly how we describe the Ferengi Sortipupus as originally intended as a misguided indictment of capitalism from leftist Hollywood point of view. That's precisely what they are. He never saw that Semitic element either.
Well, the question is, are Ferengi circumcised?
But some people do. No, don't ask that question. Let's move on.
I don't even know if they have penises. I don't know if Ferengis have penises.
Oh, are we there already? Really?
No, but I'm
Can't
just
even control
saying we're
yourself
talking
anymore?
about. Oh no, I can control myself.
Canadian Spider-Man says hello and thanks for being here to Daryl Brewer.
Thanks, Daryl. Said bye.
Yep.
Wish you well.
Yes, he did.
Your heart is in my soul. I have a Tasha Yar hologram of you. Don't ask me where I got it. That sounded too sinister.
Oh. Okay.
What's the haps, yo?
I'm looking at the chat still.
All right. Did I do something wrong?
Well, no.
In
It's just apparently a live stream about which cultures Star Trek races are based on is something people would be really excited to talk about. Don't expect anything I say to make sense. I'm just a dumb old bear. No, you are not. Oh, there was a quote I wanted to get, but I didn't get it. I need to figure out what it is, but something about the bear.
I don't think you need a whole stream. I thought it was
No.
well documented.
Oh, okay. So it's in Data's Day. Riker says, sometimes you get the bear, and some days the bear gets you. And that's about the Romulans in Data's Day. Oh, shoot. What happened? I lost my place. No.
Well, you're the one in control of the buttons, Commander. Or, sorry, Lieutenant. I always want to call you a commander, but you feel more
I'm a
comfortable
lieutenant.
with the rank of lieutenant. Yes.
Yeah, Bobby made me lieutenant. That's it. I'm not commander.
Oh, no. We'll talk about this later because I want to sign a petition that at least gets you to lieutenant commander. But this actor is so good. I think that Admiral Haftel is second only to Admiral Jarok from The Defector. I think that these are the two finest guest stars in season 3. James Loyan, legend of Star Trek. This and Admiral Haftel, single appearance, but so memorable.
Yeah, he does really well.
It is imperative that Data and Lau be. I'm convinced the damage will be irreparable if they're separate.
Are we talking about breaking up a family?
Their rights and privileges in our society have been.
You do not speak with respect.
And they're just basically defending Guinan's ability to teach law, which is a tougher argument than Data. But
humanity.
Yeah, she can learn. Well, she's an alien, but yeah, she can learn humanity from her definitely, and how to listen.
An alien on the
She is.
floor.
Her world was destroyed by the Borg.
Dancing like she's never danced before. Sorry.
And then I like LOL. Whenever I've learned everything there is to learn on a starship, then I'll go to your starbase or whatever.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And again,
love that.
Based on the age of her learning, when she does say that, why is the sky black? I think it's so funny. Just as a sort of a juxtaposition of why is the sky blue? It's like, shut up, ask your mother. I don't know.
It's just your chemistry, but we won't go into it right now.
Well, and the thing is that like even Haftel is treating Lal in a way, what if Lal was the Klingon? How would Haftel deal with Lal? It would be completely different.
They would
Or
see
the
more
Andorian.
as he might see her more as something to be used for military exercises.
Sure. Yes.
I am scared.
Oh, don't. Seriously?
I don't get all of, well, sorry.
I don't want to watch I don't want to watch the end of the episode.
I
And they
don't have
lived
everything.
and they lived happily ever after. Data and Lal lived happily ever after. He created his daughter and everything was fine.
Everything was fine. Haftel agreed.
Oh,
Jill,
I'm gonna have to go pee before we do the death of Lal. Spoiler.
The umbilical cord is virtually uncut. The child.
Make it.
No one can relieve me from that obligation.
Cannot blindly follow orders.
His hands were moving faster than I could see.
And that's the part that Scotty has to see. What he's gonna see in a minute. And he's left as we're finishing up this episode. And it's my duty, not Starfleet. So no one can relieve me of that obligation. Data is not about to stand for losing the right to be a father to Lal. He doesn't want to lose the ability to raise her and teach her what he's learned and how he's learned it, and to see what more she can do, because she's gone. She's not alive for more than 50 days, and she's already exceeded his programming in more ways than one, which is something that, you need somebody that you can trust to guide you along with that. And as Picard says, Lal depends on him. And in this case, though, however, unfortunately, that capability of Lal to extend beyond Data's programming turns out to be also her downfall, unfortunately, because she can't keep up with it. It's not possible for her to process everything that she's experienced in such a way that will allow her to continue. I don't know if it's just too much processing all at once. I always wonder if they had gone slower with it. If the Admiral hadn't come to threaten her, would she have developed her emotions more slowly and been okay? But since he threatened her so much that, well, in humans we get cortisol, we get stress, and the stress is something that can be detrimental to our health. And so in that way, is it possible that if she hadn't experienced that stress from the Admiral, that she would have been able to process the emotions and would not have experienced a cascade failure? I don't know.
I don't know. But the thing is that I think it was an unanticipated, when they were so surprised that Lal could speak with contraction, and Lal was the first person to be absolutely flabbergasted by emotional response. And even Troy at a certain point says, Lal, I can sense you, I can feel you. And then Lal runs away and she just doesn't know where to go. She is overwhelmed with the emotion. I don't think that this was an intended consequence. I think it was something that, much like his father, Data was hoping to instill on his creation. But the fact that it worked and it failed, it was too much for Lal to deal with. I think it was an unintended consequence.
She did a great job growing and developing, but when it came to the emotions, like you said before, since Data doesn't experience them himself, instilling them in another had disastrous consequences. And
Yes.
Data's always mimicking human behavior, so implanting this into Law, and that also possibly leading to her developing actual emotions.
I still think that Data
I
is a
don't know.
superior programmer of positronic matrices, but I do think that he was missing certain details, and that was what led to the. I'm not blaming Data. Like, he obviously wanted it to work, wanted her to work, and that's where I think Admiral Halfdale really steps up as a scientist.
Well, every parent wants their child to live, obviously, and doesn't want to experience the loss. And yes, Halftail does step up instantly. He goes from the greedy scientist who wants to take Lal away to actually he actually does care, and he helps to try to save Lal with Data. And I'll play this one again.
His hands were moving faster than I could see.
And that's like, again, being a collaborative media when it comes to entertainment, I think that Admiral Halftail's performance, being in awe of how much Data wanted to solve this problem, he expresses the emotion for the audience where Data can't. And then after he says that, we go to Data and Lal, and Lal is like, "Father," and it breaks it breaks my non-existent heart. Like, I rent a heart for this episode, and someone breaks it, and then I have to return it. But thankfully, I got the insurance.
It was remarkable.
Which echoing Maddox from Measure of a Man.
Yes. But he says it was remarkable. The action, not.
It was remarkable.
He?
Yes.
Did he say he?
No, he said it was remarkable. You're right.
Okay. But it was in
it
context to
still
the
feels-
activity. Yes.
Yeah. No, he said he was remarkable. It just wasn't meant to be. He does say he.
Okay. Okay. Good.
He
I'm glad
refused
that
to
there
give
is
up.
that parallel.
It is. It is. I
okay,
knew it
good.
was.
Okay.
I love you, Father. I will feel it for both of us.
Thank you for my life.
Yeah.
And she goes over some of the things that she learned. And it's kind of like a redress of the reverse of life. And she loses it.
Oh yeah, that
It
is.
It is heartbreaking.
It really.
And it is really.
Yeah. Her response, she says like a couple of words.
Flirting, laughter, painting, family, female, human.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Tragic.
And,
but also something to celebrate. Also something
and that's what Data does as a tribute to her. He keeps all of her memories within him. And he carries them throughout the rest of the series. And I do think they influence him, even if she isn't mentioned. Anytime that he's more capable of understanding emotion. Because we do go into Data's day after this, and after incorporating Lal into his memories, he figures out a way to create a program that can process, at least logically process emotion and try to react to them. And I think that's thanks to Law. So she says, "Thank you for my life," and that's something that he carries with him.
So what's the deal? Are we doing Data's Day?
Yeah, it's playing right now.
All right. Well,
I mean, what do you have to say about Data's Day anyway?
Oh, it's a great episode. No, I was hoping that we would actually, I wanted to take like smoke breaks between the episodes. I don't want to plow through this like it's a job. I'm not getting paid. Last time I got paid, it was $6.
You can smoke all you like.
All right, I'm gonna go smoke. You take care of this for a bit. I do love this episode.
It's totally fine. It's a great episode. Well,
It's a fantastic episode. I'm just being a whiny bitch.
The main way that it ties into Measure of a Man is that Data is writing all this stuff for Maddox, and of course, yes, we do have Keiko O'Brien.
Yeah, but before we go,
but she's not O'Brien right now. She has a different name.
Ishikawa.
Ishikawa, thank you.
So I just want to say that I love this episode for many, many reasons.
Oh, are you leaving?
No, I'm not leaving. I'm just saying, before I go have a cigarette, I want to sort of paint a picture, give a color palette as to what I'm thinking about this, is that I love Keiko. I love Miles. I love Data. I love that Data and Keiko are friends. Where?
Yeah, well,
when does that happen? And
Keiko,
then Miles has to put up with Data because it's one of Keiko's friends. Like, the intricacies of this episode are so 4 weddings and a funeral. It is hilarious. I love this episode. If you are going to watch an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation today, I would recommend this one because it is amazing.
It's a lot
anyway,
of fun.
I'll be back in a second. I'm gonna go smoke.
It's completely delightful, and the only reason Keiko met O'Brien is because of Data. He was a matchmaker.
Yes,
he
was Tinder. He was Federation Tinder.
he was Tinder. Yeah, he was. I don't know how he achieved that, but I just, like I said, anything from after Lull that has to do with emotions at all, I think comes from her, and it comes from his knowledge that he gained from being a father. And also it's kind of like a Data's diary. Like, oh yeah, I'm kind of closer to a Vulcan than a human, but their stark philosophy is too limited for me. So you get to hear some of his opinions about different alien species and other crew members aboard the bridge, and you get to meet the bartender. Geordi needs another haircut because if he done it right the first time, I wouldn't be here today. And definitely Geordi is an important character to be in this episode because he's Data's best friend, and this is the first episode that we actually hear that. Data says Geordi is my best friend, and it's not just us saying it because of the character interactions that we experience when we watch the episodes. It is explicitly stated here first, even though we've seen it. And during this episode, Keiko's trying to call off the wedding. She's got cold feet, and a bit humorously, Data kind of misunderstands that and thinks that O'Brien will be happy to learn about this news because it'll make Keiko happy. But it obviously isn't going to make her happy. But it's just part of the drama that Data has to go through to experience the interactions with his friendship. His friendships, he has friendships with people who have emotion. He doesn't have them, but he still has to interact with them. So he's created a program. Into his in his brain, to be able to process these emotions better. And I think that his experience with Law allows him to do this. And of course, going shopping with Worf. What more fun is that? This episode is just nothing but a delight. And so we get to see Worf talk about his knowledge of human culture. Then Data has to ask Beverly how to dance, and since Gates McFadden is actually a real dancer, she actually does know how to dance in real life, and so that's why this scene works out so well. They were actually going to have like a disco dance or something with Data, and then they were like, no, wait, we're never going to do that. But they scaled it down. They scaled it back to fit with the wedding. And even though and also incorporated Gates McFadden's ability to tap dance. And so they did the tap dancing for a little while, but then Data was like, now I'm ready for the wedding. And wait, no, you don't tap dance at a wedding. But this episode has everything. It's a delightful Data episode, character episode, but also they throw in some Romulans for good measure, and Data, thanks to his new programming that allows him to figure out how people would react. He's starting to mimic human behavior. Well, he's expanding on his ability to mimic human behavior in terms of being nervous when he's tapping his finger. He taps his finger on the console like as if he were nervous. So the simulation is becoming very, very close to reality at this stage of Data's development. And because we saw a season 2 episode, a season 3 episode, and a season 4 episode, and you're just seeing Data take off at this point in terms of his ability to interact with the crew members and himself and be able to process how he perceives the universe and those around him, and how much he really cares about his friends. He understands. He says this in this episode. He says there are emotions he doesn't understand, but he does understand the wanting to love, and he does understand friendship. And so Data says the ships are deployed to test Federation defenses on the neutral zone. And so we have that juxtaposition of having an ambassador on board who's come to talk to the Romulans on the neutral zone. They're coming together to have peace talks, and Data has to do his job alongside all the interpersonal stuff that he's dealing with Keiko and O'Brien at the same time. And I love domestic Data with his cat Spot, who is not yet named Spot, but this is Spot's first appearance. And
this is the first Felis Catus. This is the biggest pussy we see so far.
Well, also it's the first time. Well, it was.
Are you going to say that Keiko is the first biggest pussy?
No, I wouldn't say that.
All right.
No, what I meant to say was Brent Spiner came up with the idea of Spot, which is kind of funny when you realize that whenever someone asked him who's the most difficult person you ever worked with on Star Trek, and his answer is always Spot.
Do you ever get weirded out that the most important person that was rescued from the wreckage of the Enterprise D on Viridian 3 was Spot, and then we never saw Spot again?
Well, yeah, yes. But that's the only satisfactory part of that movie is, oh, they found Spot. I'm so happy.
I thought the milky yellow tears were kind of gross.
Yeah, no, but Spot's alive. That's good.
No, we're happy. We're happy for the cat. Poor pussy cat. Right side.
Just make her see reason. So they're doing this sitcom thing with Data, having Keiko having Data talk to Miles, and Miles saying, "Hey, you got to go talk some sense into Keiko." And in both cases were both terrible things to do. And so this was the only time. Well, this is the only time, but this is one of the few times that Deanna Troi actually has really good advice.
Ooh.
And I really do like Deanna Troi's scene in this episode where Data's asking about marriage. I thought about getting married myself, and what do I do? How do I help them? And Deanna Troi's answer is perfect. She says, don't help them. They've got to figure this out on their own.
Well, and it is interesting that the furthering of and honestly, Data's Day is the elevation of the B plot to being the main plot, and the Romulan subterfuge is relegated to B plot when it should be, the most important thing that's going on. And I liked this juxtaposition. I liked how the B plot became the A plot, and the intergalactic, intrigue became. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I get it. It's there. It's a fun little mystery. Data gets to talk about his obsession with Sherlock Holmes, and he actually gets to solve a mystery with Beverly Crusher. And they work together to prove that the Vulcan did not die on the transporter, and in fact she's not a Vulcan at all. She's a Romulan spy, but we're not quite there yet. But
and also who cares?
Nobody. But
yeah,
since she is
in
a
this
Romulan,
episode, it's
she's
all
trying
Data all the time. It's 24/7 Data.
Yeah, and since she is actually a Romulan, she's trying to get secrets out of Data, and Data's like, no, actually, just because you asked that, I have to tell the captain that you asked this. And she was like, I was just testing your defenses.
Yes. And I think it's interesting because Data says I have the same security passcodes as the Enterprise computer. So anything you want to know, you can find from the computer. But if it's locked out, so am I. Like, I'm not going to give you anything that the computer knows.
Yeah, and
or everything.
Ron D. Moore said that we didn't want any of the regulars getting married because that's a big thing, and we didn't want it to be a faceless nobody. Everybody was delighted with the work Paul Meany had been doing for us, and we wanted to do more with him as the series was going on. So this was a neat idea. We'll marry O'Brien. And so this episode is also kind of an elevation of O'Brien as he goes from just being a transporter chief to having more and more lines until he becomes the chief of operations on Deep Space Nine.
Yes. Well, and his importance is felt throughout the series.
Well, it is, and he's there. He's after he becomes. Well, I love Kyle, but he goes beyond Kyle.
I thought you know what, I was thinking about this today because it was recently Eddie Paskey's birthday, and I was like, is O'Brien the next generation version of Mr. Leslie? And I was like, yeah. What if you give Mr. Leslie a bigger role? And that is what O'Brien is in the next generation. In my opinion.
Leslie. Okay, I'll go with Leslie. That works too. And this was, of course, the first appearance of Rosalind Chow as Keiko, but her last as Keiko Ishikawa. And her first is Keiko O'Brien before becoming a character on Deep Space Nine, which I love her. I love Keiko in The Next Generation. What they do to her in Deep Space Nine, that's not fair.
Do we always have to go over this? Do we always have to say? I am a huge advocate for Keiko, and the reason is because Keiko and Miles are in love. They love each other. They have brought up a family, and I advocate for it. And just because we don't like somebody's life or wife doesn't mean that they are insignificant. There are many people in my life that I hang out with, and I'm like, you know what? I may not like you, but I know that my good friend loves you, and therefore I will extend their love towards you. And
I accept that O'Brien loves Keiko.
Yes.
And so that's good enough for me.
Me too.
Except, I'm still going to complain about her if I want to.
That's fine.
But I'm not going to do that here. She's amazing in The Next Generation.
I am pushing.
Yes, that's a great moment too. The birth of Molly and Worf being a midwife is one of the most incredible moments. And
It's a disaster.
Yeah, that's
Either way, so yes, no, I love Keiko. We love Keiko because O'Brien loves Keiko, but I don't have the same sort of dismissive attitude towards Keiko.
I love Keiko in the Next Generation. And
I love Keiko across the board. There is no delineation. What a great character. Love Keiko.
well, there's a great thing that Deep Space Nine does to develop characters further, and some characters are developed better further than others. I will just say
Yes.
that.
That's fine.
And so, of course, we get Data dancing.
Yes.
And I talked about it earlier already, so we're all good in terms of.
Did you bring up Labyrinth?
No, I didn't.
So yeah,
I
no,
guess
Gates McFadden was a Henson choreographer for Labyrinth, and then also she was in The Muppets Take Manhattan. She was on screen. She was Dabney Coleman's secretary in that, because of her long-standing relationship with Jim Henson. So
yes, and she also did do the choreography for that scene also.
Mm-hmm. I love how Riker can casually sit on the tactical station and no buttons go off.
There may be
It's
a
an old
correlation.
meme.
There may be a correlation between humor and sex, and there needs to be more research into this. Yes, Data, you're right.
You should fire up that Joe Piscopo holodeck program. Classic Comics gets it.
Oh, and this episode also has one of the coolest red alerts where everybody's running out of the ready room, and it's a good red alert.
I like this Admiral, this Romulan.
I do too. He's a great actor. He feels like even though he's TNG level, he feels like he's from the original series. He just has that original flavor to him that sounds just.
Well, it's like, remember,
he has that sound.
Remember that episode of Deep Space Nine when Cisco and crew had crashed on the planet after stealing the Jem'Hadar warship, and then there were Jem'Hadar who were coming at Cisco and everyone, and he was like, "It is the order of things." And it was just like, it was such a clear explanation as to what the Jem'Hadar believed. This Admiral does the same thing in terms of, he is like, Romulans are angry Vulcans, in my opinion, at least at this point in Star Trek. And I love how there is sort of a conniving rage beneath the self-control. Love it. Love it. And also, like, O'Brien's got so much going on in his life. He's got a wedding to go to. He's going to get married and everything. And now he's like, oh, and also, by the way, I have to go and fix this thing and that thing, and maybe this will work. You guys know I have to be off work by 3, right?
Yeah, I guess he is pretty busy.
Yeah.
The thread
O'Brien
of
is doing a
Data's
man's job.
the thread of Data's involvement with Keiko and O'Brien's wedding, it really illustrates that confusion that he can often have when trying to deal with those different emotions. But and now they have to deal with the mystery of the dead Vulcan, who's not really a Vulcan. She's a Romulan.
Yes,
and that's the reveal of it is perfect. This episode is just wonderful. And you're right. What usually is the A plot is the B plot. And those are transposed and wonderful. And I just really enjoyed this episode. Did I even say when it aired and who wrote it? I think I forgot.
It was written by Daryl Hannah.
What? That doesn't sound right.
It's not. It's not right. I'm lying.
Okay, so it first aired on January 7th, 1991, and it was written by Ronald D. Moore, of course, and Harold Apter, with the story by Harold Apter. So thank you, Ronald D. Moore. Definitely Data's Day is a complete delight. He's really great with that dialogue. And so then, of course, Data and Beverly figured out the mystery by chasing wild goose.
Geeses.
Geeses?
Mises?
Yeah. And
I love how I really enjoy the fact that Jordy is the only one who gets little red pads. He gets like, yeah.
Jordy gets little red pads. Oh.
Yeah, well, like they're not the same as the big pads. He gets like post-it note pads.
Mhm.
Yes.
But Data and Beverly make a wonderful forensic team. Haven't seen
Mhm.
the episode before, doesn't diminish the joy of this mystery. It does, Data even chases an untamed ornithoid without a cause. But no, it wasn't with that. He didn't go on a wild goose chase. It was actually perfect because the DNA did not completely match. There were some discrepancies, and those discrepancies shown that it was just replicated matter rather than actual live DNA. Um, so it was replicated DNA rather than from the actual Romulan or Vulcan or whoever you want to say she is at this point. At this point, they still think she's a Vulcan, but we're jumping ahead because I gotta go, and I wanted to talk about this episode for a minute. Which
Well,
really
let's
it
skip to
didn't.
the end.
It didn't. We've
All right.
already skipped the end. But it's okay that we didn't have as much time for this episode because it doesn't require that much of an explanation. This is just a fun journal scrapbook for Data. It's just like, hey, here's Data, and here's a day in the life of Data, and it's just lovely. And there's science here that makes sense, and that's always fun. The matter to energy signals increased during the accident. A second transporter signal could have caused this. So Romulans took to Pell and left false evidence of remains. I love Data. He knows what Picard's going to do. He knows Picard's not going to consult Starfleet. The safest, most logical thing to do is to contact Starfleet. But I know Captain Picard. Picard considers this a kidnapping situation and is headed for battle. Yes, so he's the ambassador deserves better, and so he goes after her. Only to find out, of course, that she's
a
not.
spy.
She's a spy. Oh, she's a patriot. It says Mendak. And,
Oh, and
okay,
there is a thing that happens where he does communicate with the Klingon high command.
Klingon?
Isn't that how we get out of this?
Oh. No, I thought they just left.
I thought
because he said leave peacefully.
Yeah, but I thought that the Klingons showed up.
No.
Oh.
The Klingons, really? No. No. Mendak is just basically like, I expect you to leave peacefully now. And no, there are 3 Romulan warbirds. There more Romulans are showing up, not Klingons.
Right. I thought Klingons showed up as backup, but I may,
No. No. They could be clobbered right now.
Max Redstone says, no, Scotty, that's the Defector season 3. I apologize.
That's okay. And Keiko's happy. She wants to get married now and is saying, hey, Data, here's this flower you can wear as the father of the bride, because Data is standing in as the father of the bride for this wedding. They have a wedding, and of course, as the captain, Picard officiates with words very similar to what Captain Kirk once used in a previous Star Trek time. And there's a nice dance, and Data does very well dancing with Keiko, and he doesn't even use his creepy smile from the scene It's
Creepy
perfect.
smile? Seriously, you're gonna say creepy smile? I thought he was
Well,
very endearing, but it was
no,
creepy.
here he's endearing. I meant in the scene where he's learning to dance, and she says, "You have to smile and enjoy, look like you're enjoying yourself," and he's just showing too much teeth.
Well, I don't have that problem. I
Look,
don't
there
have
was a
that many
baby.
teeth.
While
Yeah.
while we were what does Picard say?
While we were facing destruction, as it says on screen.
This small miracle is taking place. Welcome aboard. And that's his nice little moment.
Yes.
And then Data starts the night shift. Oh, right. And I think the night shift is a new thing for the show here.
Yes. It would become mainstay on Voyager because apparently they're always on night shift on Voyager. No one works during the day on Voyager. It's always night lights.
Okay, so this is Moore got the idea. Ronald D. Moore got the idea from the making of Star Trek, in which Gene Roddenberry was noted to have proposed that a starship's lights would be dimmed at times to stimulate the day and night cycle for humans.
Yes. Well, and if you don't do that to a prisoner, it is actually a war crime. You have to differentiate day and night.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense that you would do that for people on a starship to simulate, so their circadian rhythm isn't disturbed.
Yes.
And
thank you.
Oh, and Data says
Shelley Desai.
If being human is not simply a matter of being born flesh and blood, if it is instead a way of thinking, acting, and feeling, then I am hopeful that one day I will discover my own humanity. And that's a great note to end off of for.
A fistful of datas.
A tour of datas. Or, as Shooter 8323 said at the beginning of this entire chat, like the very first chat said, the data files. And I think next time we talk about data, I'll call it the data files.
It's your boat.
A boat full of datas.
Yes.
At April Grace, the transporter technician. Oh. Nice.
You know, when you start reading the credits, I question as to how much of a hurry you're in.
I am in a hurry.
I love giving credit where credit is due, but like, and then
too.
it's like, oh, look at this. It's William Ware Tice.
Oh, I know. I'm going to be late. I'm just going to call the school and say, I'm going to be a little late.
I was busy talking about Star Trek, bitch.
They don't need to know why I was late. I won't be too
Get
late.
off my lawn. My children will be fine. I taught them to be resourceful.
Well, I won't be. Yeah, they'll be okay. They're nobody's going to leave them alone. The teacher.
I think we should stop talking about this and get to the end.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about it because I'm looking at my chat.
Yeah.
Jill, it is your channel that should rate at least a captaincy. Says Booker. Oh no, I'm never gonna. I don't want to be captain.
Take me to the captain.
I know it's my channel, and I'm in charge here, but I don't know. I can't do it.
You're ready for the center seat, Will. Sweet. I'm sorry I messed that up.
Wow. Hey guys.
I know.
I must have really liked being here. There's a lot of chat. My favorite episode is Dharma. I love that episode. That might be my second favorite episode, Shield Wall of Dragons. I think it's fantastic too. Timba, as the walls fell. Right, Shield? All right, so I'm a little bit further back in the chat than I thought. And, oh, right.
Build me up, Buttercup. Don't break my heart. Yes.
But no, Data is my favorite TNG character for lots of reasons. I hope I expressed some of those today, and I hope they made some sense.
I don't know.
The effort reaps its own rewards.
I don't know who my favorite TNG character is. I don't know.
You don't?
Like it's top. No, I would say my top 3 are going to be Riker, LaForge, and Crusher. So those are my top 3, but I don't know who my favorite is. Yeah. Beverly Crusher, by the way.
Oh, well, I assumed. I didn't think one of your favorite characters was going to be Wesley. You defend him, but I don't think you
it's
put him at
not.
the top.
No.
You only defend
I
him
do
because everybody
defend him,
hates
but
him.
he's not. That is also true.
Canadian Spider-Man says admirals are always interfering and screwing things up. They are. Until we get to Admiral Ross.
Well, no, but don't forget about Admiral Nakamura. Admiral Nakamura
He's good.
He's good, and he shows up in Measure of a Man. I appreciate it.
Mm.
He shows up in Phantasms as well, and I like that as a continuity of casting admirals who were in touch with the Enterprise. And also, Admiral Nakamura is a friendly admiral. Like, he gets to business, but he's also very cordial. So I like Admiral Nakamura.
Booger says, I think Troy was either projecting onto Lal or being nice. We've never seen her be able to sense machine emotions before, or sense. She didn't sense emotions. She saw that Lal was experiencing emotion. Lal was very visibly frightened and expressing fear. That wasn't something she needed her Betazoid powers to detect.
Yeah. Well, and I love that performance. Like, I felt like in terms of the performance of Lal, when she starts like punching herself with her flat hand, her open hand into her, what can only be described as her solar plexus. It's just like, I feel it here.
Here. She knows
And
where.
it
She
is
feels the fear.
It is so powerful. The actress sells it. I think that it adds to the emotion. And it's interesting to see the confusion on Marina Sirtis performing as Troy, being like, I am not sensing you at all, but you are obviously in emotional distress. And I think it's very, very interesting, just in terms of the questions of that interaction. It is to boldly go where no one has gone before. How do you assess the brave little toaster feeling love for the first time? What if that was the emotion that made her fall apart? She felt love for the first time, and she's like, I don't know what this is. It's terrifying. But she was feeling love. That is the question.
Yeah, she was feeling love because she was afraid of having to leave her father. And that's the power of love. You don't want to be separated.
The thing is that I don't think that she was terrified and scrambling because she was feeling fear for the first time. I think she was terrified and scrambling because she was feeling love for the first time and being like, I don't know what this is. And that's, I think that's I don't know. If it was
she
fear,
experienced
it was fear.
One of the most complex emotions first. And that's usually, that's what happens when a baby's born, is fear. They have to leave the womb.
I was warm. I was warm for so long, and now I'm outside of this womb.
Yeah, and that's really scary. If in effect, that's what happens when you're born, is you feel fear, and then you're comforted.
And then a doctor slaps you in the face and says, "Shut up."
Oh, they still do that? They didn't do that to my baby.
I hope so. It's the entire reason that I wanted to be a doctor who delivered babies, is so that I could slap babies.
Well, and that's the only reason to become an OBGYN.
Yes.
Apex Comics says, hi, Scotty.
Don't call
hi,
me
Apex
weird. I just want to slap babies. Anyway, move on.
That is weird. Stop.
Okay.
O'Brien is quite pale in this one too. Much powder and mascara. You know what? I didn't even notice that. I guess you're right, but maybe that's just he's all dressed up for the wedding, and Shield Wall of Dragons has to go. Bye, Shield Wall of Dragons. I'm sorry I missed you when you actually left half an hour ago. Picard just smashed the curl on Nasco's on the wreckage of the Enterprise D bridge.
The curl on Nice Coast. You remember the curl on Nice Coast. It was complete. It was given to him by his mentor, his archaeological mentor, in the Gambit. Oh, was it Gambit? No, it was in the Chase.
Oh, the
And it
archaeological
was like
thing.
it was porcelain or it was some sort of clay. And then it believed that there was a community of voices within every individual. And that, yes. And then in Star Trek Generations, he threw it away like an IKEA furniture.
Yeah, he was like, what's this? Gavin Blackburn says the origin of Miles must suffer trope. Kind of, yeah, because Keiko's kind of she's got the cold feet, and yeah, and she's in Miles has to deal with all this stuff on top of his hopefully upcoming wedding.
Well, but that's also the thing, is that if you are not a friend of Keiko O'Brien or Ishikawa, then you could say that from this point forward, Miles suffered because he was married to Keiko.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think she's okay in TNG. I think it's DS9 that messes her up.
All right. I think.
But we can talk about that when
we'll
we talk
do
about
a Keiko episode.
9. We'll do a Keiko episode, which has to include the one where she's possessed by Paul Wraith.
Of course, she does Super Senchai against the what the hell, Jake.
It's Picard's fault, says Max Redstone. He should have known what was what with T'Pel wearing that stupid hat. I didn't know until she tried to get data information out of Data. That I think when I first watched it, I might have started having my suspicions there. And that's also where Data started having his suspicions, which I didn't mention. He had some idea. I wish I had some intuition because something's not right here. Isn't it a shame that contains captains can wed people, but they don't have the authority to issue divorce? I didn't know that. Guess you got to go to a starbase for that one to get your divorce. Data should have said, Chief O'Brien, Keiko is illogical and dappy. I advise to run like hell. No, Data put Chief O'Brien and Keiko together. That's crazy part.
I would love to talk more about marriage in the age of Star Trek, because I don't think we've ever actually seen a successful one. But
somebody said the thing.
What's that?
Sir, I know this may finish me as an acting ensign, but
shut up, Wesley.
Oh, we thought you meant Jack. Okay, well, we're completely past the context of what's going on there.
Dorothy Gale.
Yeah, Captain Dorothy Gale. Are you a good admiral or a bad admiral?
USS Kansas.
Oh, from the trailer from Star Trek 33, The Wrath of Miles. At the end of the universe, there will be a reckoning, and Keiko must die. Oh, that's where Snortopoopas thinks that relationship's going to go. So there you go.
At the end of the galaxy becomes self-sealing stambles.
Hey, chat, if you want to use custom cool emojis and be based like all the kids today, then please join Jill's channel. It's just a couple of bucks, and it helps grow her channel. Actually, my lowest level membership is only $1, and it also gets you into my Discord now. I opened up my Discord to all members. If anybody,
is that why I'm getting the notifications? All right.
Well, and it only occurs if you connect. You can only be in the Discord if you connect your YouTube with your Discord, and there's a little place in Discord where you can connect your YouTube to it. And if you do that, you'll be able to join it. And then a lot of people have not done that, so it's fine. It's okay. It's up to you. It's just an option. And Tiger Sharp says you're going on so long today. I know I got to go. I got to run.
All right.
I got to dash. But I had a lot of fun today. Thank you, Scotty R37, for talking about Data with me. We'll talk about Data some more. We've got to talk about exocomps. We've got to talk about lore. We've got to talk about the Borg and Data.
You're very. That opens up a hole that dovetails into something completely different. But yeah, thank you so much.
Not that though. Not that though. I was just talking about the lore episode with.
No, I was talking about Voyager and whatnot.
Oh, Voyager. Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's a lot of Borg in Voyager that makes the Borg, I don't know, pudding.
Oh, you're so funny, Canadian Spider-Man. But I do have to dash. But thank you, everyone, for exploring Data with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I had a lot of fun. It was a lot more exciting going through 3 episodes than 1, and so that was fun. We've got to do it again sometime.
I think we should go with 2 next time. Like, do you want to go with 3 all
2.
the time? We feel right.
No, I think 2. I think 2 will be better, but it only worked for this one because the third one was a little, not exactly frivolous, but it's easy to talk about. It's easy to talk about all the important points really quickly, but that won't always be the case. So you're right.
Yes.
We'll go with 2 next time. And I will talk to you guys later. Do you have anything you want to share, Scotty?
Yeah. I would like everyone to subscribe to Cinema Gulp. We just talked about Alien Romulus and what fictional characters could fight the xenomorph and win or lose. So that was fun over on Cinema Gulp. Last night I had an opportunity to talk to Kat Slice Night on X, but renowned Star Wars expert. And we got to talk about episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and Stephen Foley, author of many a book. If you want to go check out, again, the Phantasmagoria. And pretty sure that Jill is going to be, you're going to be talking about, there was a thing that you're going to be talking about. What are you talking about?
On Tuesday, I'm talking about For All Mankind, but what are you talking about? Is that? Yeah, I'm going to continue doing that. It'll be great. Well, finally, the guns are on the moon, and the Russians and Americans are meeting in space for the Apollo-Soyuz mission, which is a real mission that happens in real life, but we're going to see how it plays out in this alternate history universe. And those are Scotty's links.
Come stalk me. Oh, wait. No, I forgot about the last thing. The last thing is that I really want a Hot Toys She-Hulk. I'm pretty sure that a friend of mine is going to send me one, but I want a backup. And so if anybody wants to buy me a She-Hulk doll from Hot Toys, I would very much appreciate it.
That won't be me. I will never do that.
No, I understand.
See you tonight for Friday Night Frolics, Jill. Yeah, see you later, Spidey. Tiger Stripes is endlessly amused by it. And that was 6 p.m. Pacific. Oh, right. Max Redstone is going to have his first live stream tomorrow. I think it's 9 p.m. Central. Is that the same as 6 Pacific?
Yes.
No, 7. I think it might be 7. Well, you know what?
Let's 9. It's 3 hours ahead. So 9 Pacific is 6 Eastern.
Well, no, not Eastern. He's Pacific time. So it might be 7. Well, Max
it
will
is
have to
3 hours ahead. It is 3 hours ahead from Eastern Standard Time. You are being Central Time. You're an hour ahead of me. So when I say noon, oh wait, no, you're an hour. No, you're an hour.
Max Redstone says 7 Pacific, 9 Central.
There we
10
are.
Eastern.
Bingo. Someone knew how to do the math off the top of their head better than I can, because I am dim.
Good luck with it, Max Redstone. Yes, good luck on your live stream, Max Redstone. I'll put your link in the chat if you're not subscribed to Max yet. Tomorrow he will be live streaming he's gonna have a bit of a variety show with art and a puppet show and stuff. So
Delightful.
check it out. And things conversation. We'll see what happens. I can't wait to see what you do with it. This is YouTube. Let's see what you make of it.
That was weird. Sorry about that.
That's
growling.
fine. That's fine. Well, it's time to go, so it makes sense.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
Okay.
It's Friday.
Happy Friday. Let's go have a Friday.
Let's
See
go
you later,
have a
guys.
Friday.
Bye.
Bye.
And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
It has always been easier to destroy than to create.
May we together become greater than the sum of both of us.
Well, now you have something new to think about. Carry on.
There is an ineffable quality to memory.
We too are machines, just machines of a different type. Your Honor, Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits.
It's remarkable. And I am prepared to accept the responsibility. We are a family law. Almost as though I am learning things over again.
The starship's mission is to seek new life, and that is exactly what Commander Data...
But I am incapable of giving her love.
Now, why do I find that so hard to believe?
No one can relieve me from that obligation.
I will feel it for both of us.
All right, move along. Done. Stop it. Get off of the things. Go outside. Get some food. It's like, it's a time of day where you live. Go do something. Shut up, Snoopy. I don't care. You smoke too much. Let's go. Let's go adventure. Let's go explore.
Emma.